Chapter 195, Two Transactions. The strength of the golden armor guards made a deep impression on Zuemo, but what are they really? Zuemo asked as he pointed at the three muscle heads. The three golden armor guards were very brawny. Standing with their swords, they were like three little mountains whose sole purpose was to pressure others. Puppets, Puyao said softly. Oh, Zuemo responded. A strong impulse formed to study these three puppets. There were many ways to create puppets. The most famous would probably be corpse forging. Things like thousand-year corpse were the best corpse forging materials. Seal soldiers were also one kind of puppet, but they were completely different than corpse forging. But when he thought about that astonishing sword strike, he decided to stop thinking about this dangerous idea. His eyes stared at the red broadswords in the hand of the three golden armor guards. A beat later, Zuemo's heart-wrenching wail came out of the cave. Old ghost. Gu will kill you. Sob, sob, sob. My crimson fire rock. My sky eye silver, in the sky above the desolate wood reef. How much longer do we have to wait? Chang Heng said impatiently. He would come out soon. Bo Feng was very calm. At the side, Gue Feng's eyes occasionally swept across the desolate wood reef. Different than what they had thought, it wasn't just Zuemo on the desolate wood reef, there were also Wukong's sword sect disciples. However, these disciples were all production shouja. At the beginning, these disciples would occasionally look up at them. As time went on, they attended to their own business. The desolate wood reef looked calm, but many important places were covered with white clouds so nothing could be seen. These balls of cloud proved that the big formation of the desolate wood reef had not been critically damaged. Gue Feng felt that Zuemo was very mysterious. He was somewhat puzzled why Wukong's sword sect would send such an important disciple to such an isolated place. Was it because they had trust in Zuemo? He didn't feel that way. While the importance of the desolate wood reef was undoubted, no matter how great their trust was, the elders shouldn't have been frugal in sending along a few more strong disciples with him. Such an accomplished disciple, he didn't believe any sect was willing to lose him. But Zuemo was guarding desolate wood reef alone. This made Gue Feng feel it was more of an exile. The Black Wind bandits had all been killed. If this news spread, it would definitely shake all of Sky Moon Jie. Zuemo's own reputation and the reputation of Wukong's sword sect would be pushed to another height. Gue Feng glanced at Bo Feng. There was no impatience on Bo Feng's face. They had been guarding here for 5 days. To show that they didn't have any enmity, he hadn't brought any of the 36 shuji. Gue Feng saw Zuemo's figure appear out of the corner of his eye, his mind becoming alert. Hm. His gaze swept across the three enormous figures behind Zuemo. Gue Feng's pupils suddenly shrunk into pinpoints. The golden scale armor covered their entire body, the dense scales flashed with a pure golden sheen. Their faces were covered by gold masks, which only revealed a pair of eyes. The three guards dressed in golden armor simultaneously looked at the three people in the sky. When Gue Feng's eyes met the three people's eyes, his heart shook. The three pairs of eyes were strange but all similar in that they were indifferent, cold, and emotionless. Gue Feng even felt that they were dead. He could feel that he was just an ant in their eyes, unable to cause even a ripple. Suddenly, Gue Feng felt he was burning in a fire, an almost tangible pressure forming, and pushing down like a little mountain. Gue Feng snorted coldly, his body moving slightly and circulated his Ling power. The invisible pressure around him instantly disappeared. Successfully getting rid of the other's pressure, Gue Feng did not feel joy at all. Quite the opposite, his complexion was very bad. The two seemed to be even, but Gue Feng knew he was at a disadvantage. Such a powerful expert. Was this Wukong sword sect's hidden strength? He narrowed his eyes. Bo Feng and Chang Heng's expressions became serious. Their thoughts were the same as Gue Feng. These three shouja covered in golden armor and cultivations above Ningmai, and their strength was very strong. even though they could not see the features, but the thick killing intent covering the three was the killing intent that would only form after countless battles. No wonder the Black Wind Bandits were all killed. So the desolate wood reef was also hiding 3 experts. The 3 people rejoiced that they hadn't charged in. Facing any of these golden armor Shouja, even Bo Feng didn't have a certain grasp on victory. Ningmai had 3 stratums. Gue Feng and Changheng were only at the first stratum, but the 3 golden armor Shouja were all above second stratum. The difference between Ningmai and Zhuji was large, but the difference between Ningmai were also similarly large. The cultivation of Ningmai's second stratum was 3 times that of a first stratum Ningmai. Their cultivation was not as good as the other, their battle experience not as good as the other, their talismans. They looked at the burning red broadswords. Those were clearly not normal and definitely had reached the 4th grade. The 2 sides were even. What they had the greatest confidence in was spells. Gue Feng was very confident in the 9 Ghosts Nail Curse that he was practicing. In Zhuo Mo's Sea of Consciousness, Pu Yao muttered, pity about the Baldi. He's good material for making golden armor guard. Zhuo Mo did not pay attention, his eyes looking at the sky. This time, with the 3 golden armor guards around him, even though his wounds had not completely healed, he still had more bravery. Thank you for waiting for so long, is there something I can help with? Zhuo Mo did not like to chit-chat, and said forwardly. Bo Feng did not twist, and said, this one has 2 matters to ask. Oh, Zhuo Mo was slightly surprised. He hadn't thought the other really had a matter, and 2 of them at that. Brothers Wu killing the Black Wind Bandits is really a happy matter, Bo Feng said, I want to buy some news from Brothers Wu. Black Wind Bandits? Zhuo Mo stilled and then reacted. So his attackers had been the Black Wind Bandits, no wonder they were so strong. His mind's whirling, he quickly responded, what news? Bo Feng started at Zhuo Mo and said seriously, I want to buy the position of a secret realm from Brothers Wu. Zhuo Mo's heart jumped. Secret realm. He truly was shocked by the words secret realm. Zhuo Mo had missed the secret realm exploration after the sword test conference because he had been thrown into the sword essence formation. It had been a regret of his. He hadn't thought that he would suddenly hear information about a secret realm. Bo Feng suddenly running over to ask him the location of the secret realm, the clever Zhuo Mo instantly realized where the information about the secret realm would come from. The Black Wind Bandits. Definitely the Black Wind Bandits. Pu Yao reacted even more quickly than he did, and had more tricks. In the blink of an eye, he had gotten the answers he wanted from the manual laborers that were still soaking in the black pond. Hearing Pu Yao speak of it, Zhuo Mo understood the general shape of the matter, and instantly was disappointed. The first people to find the secret realm were the 3 of the red-robed Shouja. For some reason, the news had been leaked, and they were targeted by the Black Wind Bandits. However, the 3 were extremely slippery, and tricked the Black Wind Bandits, almost clearing out the entire secret realm before fleeing. Zhuo Mo finally understood why the 3 people had so many good items on their body. So it had been a secret realm. He had admiration and disappointment. However, a secret realm that others had gone through did not hold any attractions to him. However, he wouldn't give the information so easily to Bo Feng. The cleared-out secret realm might not have anything good, but the Ling energy of the secret realm was dense and perfect for making a residence. It was not very useful for him, but to the sect, it was very good. Bo Feng evidently wanted this secret realm. Haha, Zhuo Mo smiled, but his wooden expression looked very strange. How does Brother Bo want to buy it? Speaking about business, he became alert. In any case, he had the initiative. He could sell or not sell. The red-robed man and his fellows had run to Little Mountain Jia, and definitely wouldn't be coming back soon. The only people who knew the location of the secret realm were the Black Wind Bandits, but all of the Black Wind Bandits were soaking in the Black Pond. Even if he didn't sell its location to Bo Feng and sent the news back to the sect, he would get many rewards. But in the deepest part of his heart, Zhuo Mo didn't plan on telling the information to the sect. If it was in the past, he definitely wouldn't have hesitated in reporting the information to the sect. But the only person he missed in the sect right now was Master. The present Wukong Sword sect was not the Wukong Sword sect of the past that had felt like a home. If it wasn't for Master, he wouldn't have any supplies. He wouldn't even have had the Wukong flag. If he came to such an isolated place as the desolate Wood Reef, he would have more dangers than lucky encounters. He couldn't help but ball up his hands. Destiny, it was more reliable to grasp it in his own hands. Haha, Bo Feng laughed lightly. He seemed to have already had a plan. I will use a piece of news to exchange with Brother Zhua. News? Bo Feng's suggestions was out of Zhua Mo's expectations. Bo Feng said generously, Brother Zhua should look first. If you are not satisfied, we can keep negotiating. Finishing, his finger flicked and a jade scroll shot at Zhua Mo Pia. A golden palm reached from behind Zhua Mo and accurately grasped the jade scroll. Bo Feng smiled and didn't speak. Inside, he praised Zhua Mo's carefulness. Zhua Mo took the jade scroll, and lowered his head to read. There was not much inside the jade scroll, but after reading the last word, Zhua Mo felt he was in a glacier, his entire body cold. How is it? Is Brother Zhua satisfied? Bo Feng asked. Zhua Mo took a deep breath, and then bowed with folded hands at Bo Feng. He said seriously, many thanks, Brother Bo. Finishing, he took out an empty jade scroll, entered the position of the secret realm, and threw it to Bo Feng. Bo Feng took the jade scroll. After reading it, joy appeared on his face. When he finished, he crushed the jade scroll to powder. Brother Zhua is really refreshing. Bo Feng said crisply, this one wants to ask for a wisp of golden crow fire from Brother Zhua, please help me. Golden crow fire? Zhua Mo nodded, if Brother Bo has earth elemental materials above 4th grade, a deal can be made. He didn't ask for a high price. The news that Bo Feng had just given him was too important. Bo Feng could not control his joy, we really have good fate. This one luckily has a piece of breathing rock, and of high quality. It should fulfill Brother Zhua's demands. Trade. Zhua Mo did not hesitate in nodding. In 4th grade earth element materials, breathing rock was a rare fine material. It usually existed in the deepest parts, a special earthy gray that naturally clung together, unable to be cut with anything metal. Zhua Mo was excited. He finally gathered together everything for his 5 essence sword set. Chapter 196, News at Wukong Mountain. Shi Feng Rong had a face full of fury. Why? Pei Yuanran was helplessly apologetic. Too far. Even if we tell him, he won't be able to get back. Unless he is Jin Dan, he can't get back in 3 days. Then I won't go to Bright Wave Jie. I'll go get him. Shi Feng Rong said decisively. Nonsense. Pei Yuanran was furious. Looking at the pain and anger on Shi Feng Rong's face, he suppressed the anger inside and said in a low voice, there are so many experts in Bright Wave Jie. Whether our sect can establish ourselves in Bright Wave Jie, it all depends on us Jin Dan. In our time of need, will Shimi abandon the entire sect for just Zhua Mo? Shi Feng Rong bit her lips, tears flowing down uncontrollably. Pei Yuanran relaxed his tone of voice, Shimi, don't worry. Zhua Mo is usually clever. He definitely will be fine. After we establish ourselves in Bright Wave Jie, we can send people to search for him. Pei Yuanran comforted Shi Feng Rong for a long time before she was finally persuaded. When Lin Qian saw Pei Yuanran, he saw the other's face was dark, and assumed that Pei Yuanran was worried for the future. He comforted, sect leader Pei, do not worry too much. This one has some weight in Bright Wave Jie and will definitely pick a good land for your sect. Pei Yuanran raised his hands in thanks, but he stared at Lin Qian and said solemnly, this one still has one thing that he does not understand. Master Lin, please explain a few things to me. Oh, please speak, sect leader Pei, Lin Qian said. Master Lin has no connection to our sect, so why have you been so close with our sect as of late? Pei Yuanran's eyes were bright. Lin Qian seemed to have already known that Pei Yuanran would ask this, and smiled. If that's the case, then I will speak the truth. It is because I see potential in Wei Sheng. Wei Sheng is the most talented Xiuzhe that this one has ever seen. He has unbridled potential and his future will certainly be boundless. Sect leader Pei can think of this as an investment. In the future, when I need help, please, sect leader Pei, lend a hand. Naturally, Pei Yuanran's heart relaxed slightly. Even though he didn't believe all of it, but he didn't let it show. Lin Qian smiled and said, "We will temporarily set our departure at noon 3 days from now. This one will be waiting and won't disturb sect leader Pei now. Farewell. I won't see you off." Pei Yuanran said, raising his folded hands. Zuo and Bo Feng had made 2 good transactions, the aura between them very harmonious. Chang Heng and Gue Feng were not interested in Golden Crow Fire, something Zuo felt was very regretful about. However, before leaving, Zuo asked them to spread the news of the Golden Crow Fire, and Bo Feng agreed. Zuo saw Bo Feng and the others leave. "What are you going to do?" Pu Yao suddenly asked. Zuo inhaled deeply, and then exhaled, as though he wanted to push out all the darkness that had formed in his heart. "I'll take it step by step." Pu Yao smiled coldly. "You didn't receive one bit of information. TSK, seems those old codgers don't value you very much." Zuo was silent. "Plan on flying back?" Pu Yao didn't have any sympathy. "There's not enough time," Zuo shook his head. From the desolate wood reef to Wukong Mountain, flying would take multiple months. "Don't worry," Pu Yao said unconcernedly, "even if the Yaoma come, it would be small groups. Probably just Night Stalk Yao and Moon Demon, nothing important." "Night Stalk Yao and Moon Demon? Are they very strong?" Zuo asked curiously. He didn't know much about Yaoma. "Little worms," Pu Yao twisted his mouth, "about the same as Ningmai." "Then why is everyone fleeing?" Zuo could not understand. "If they are about the same as Ningmai, we can completely kill them." Pu Yao smiled scornfully. "Whether Night Stalk Yao or Moon Demon, if they face your Ningmai, they can fight 1 against 3. His bloody pupils suddenly rippled. "Their growing environment is much more cruel than you guys." "So what?" Zuo wasn't persuaded. "Sky Moon Jie has Jin Dan." Pu Yao shrugged indifferently. "This is just the beginning. I am willing to bet, no, guarantee that the old codgers of your sect are definitely planning on migrating away. Who is willing to bleed themselves to help other people stop Yaoma? Wukong Mountain is the base of our sect. You are too naive." Pu Yao's words were full of scorn. "Just a poor mountain. As long as they have people, where can't they go? Without the mountain, they can go steal another one." Zuo couldn't speak. "Prepare early," Pu Yao shook his head. "I won't have any time in the near future, don't bother me." He disappeared after finishing. Zuo stood at his spot. He was unfocused for a moment. He could not think that the entire front line of Bloody Sky Metropolis Jia had collapsed in such a short period of time. This was the news that he traded with Bo Feng. Supposedly, it was a group of Yaoma that had appeared at the flank and caused the collapse of the entire defensive line which fortified Bloody Sky Metropolis Jia. Sky Moon Jia was not immediately next to Bloody Sky Metropolis Jia, but it wasn't far from it, so it was in a very dangerous situation. Many sects of Sky Moon Jia had already started to prepare for migration. This was the news from 5 days ago. What had frozen Zuomo's heart was that he had not received any news from his own sect. News from 5 days ago, with Wukong Sword sect's present status, they couldn't be ignorant of it. If he moved now, he couldn't meet up with the sect unless the sect migrated to Little Mountain Jie. But if they were going through Little Mountain Jie, they would have notified him so he could prepare to receive them. But he hadn't received anything. He knew that he was set on a different path from the sect after this incident. He wasn't sad. In reality, when he had came out of the Sword Essence formation, he had sensed it coming, but he hadn't thought the day would come so quickly. The present Wukong sword sect had long not been the Wukong sword sect of the past. Never mind, he should think of way to protect himself. It was better to rely on himself than on others. Zhuo Mo's idea was quite different than anyone else. He decided to keep guarding Desolate Wood Reef. Desolate Wood Reef's environment was special. Adding on the Skyring Moon Chime Formation, and the Golden Armor Guards, he could basically guarantee his own safety. If it was needed, he could enter Little Mountain Jia through the Jia River at any time. But before that, he needed to increase his own strength. Otherwise, with his Zhuji cultivation and despite his large wealth of Jingshi, not a piece of him would remain. If he left, he would take the shitty with him. He had found all the materials for the 5 essence sword set. Also, his cultivation, which hadn't moved for such a long time, finally had started to grow. At this time, it was better to control his personality and increase his own strength before anything else. The reforging of Water Drop Sword was very quick, only taking 1 day. He added a piece of 4th grade Crimson Fire Rock. Even though that did not elevate it to 4th grade, it rose to the top of 3rd grade. The outer layer of the Water Drop Sword had an additional aura of bright red flame that constantly burned. Zhuo renamed it, Water Fire Sword. The teeth vine was soaked in a Ling Spring. There were no Ling Springs on the Desolate Wood Reef. This Ling Spring was one that Zhuo made himself using formations. The effect was not as good as natural Ling Springs. Zhuo could only increase the time it spent in the water. The 10 days it should have taken to forge, were extended to 30 days by Zhuo. The blue icicle crystal, the breath rock, and the fox teeth were all 4th grade materials. It was almost impossible for Zhuo at present to forge them. He could only process them into sword billets. When his cultivation reached Ningmai and he had absorbed Golden Crow Fire, could he finish the forging. All of his other time was spent on meditation. In this period of time, even Pu Yao, who usually disdained Zhuo cultivation, intelligently chose to remain silent. Also, Pu Yao was very busy in this time. Zhuo received a flying sword message from his master. On there, it said that Bloody Sky Metropolis Jia had collapsed, and the sect decided to move to Bright Wave Jia. She told Zhuo to be careful and protect himself. It also told him he could enter other sections. If there was a chance, he could also go to Bright Wave Jia to find them. Zhuo put the flying sword message into his ring, and turned back to his meditation. On the Desolate Wood Reef, the Black Lake had been completely transformed. The inky black pond water now glowed darkly. On the shore, a simple and old-fashioned stone altar had taken form. 30-something little Yao guards continuously took water from the black water pond and poured it onto the stone tiles of the altar. The stone tiles were like sponges. No matter how much black water was poured onto the surface, they didn't leave one drop behind. Pu Yao looked at the altar, not saying a word. The number of xiuzhe that passed through Desolate Wood Reef increased over the days. At the beginning, there were little crowds. After a while, it turned to a continuous flow. The power of the Skyring Moon Chime Formation was much higher than before, so the consumption of Jingshi was also much higher. Each day, it needed 20 pieces of 3rd grade Jingshi to remain active. However, even though it was very expensive, but the strength exuded by the Brahma Sound Ring, and the Skyring Moon Chime Formation, prevented the passing xiuzhe from daring to have any greedy thoughts. The rumors were that the Black Wind Bandits had attacked the Desolate Wood Reef, but ended up all being annihilated. There were also rumors that Zhuo was selling Golden Crow Fire. As long as they could pay the price or had good things to trade, they could buy it at any time. Each xiuzhe that came onto the island would ask around about these 2 pieces of news when they landed. As the flow of people increased, Zhuo's daily income also shot up. However, he didn't have any time to put on it. Each day, he furiously meditated, hoping to quickly break through to Ningmai. In comparison, Lilith Pagoda was living very well these past days. The large amounts of talismans and materials that Zhuo had gotten from the Black Wind Bandits were quite good. Since Zhuo could not use them, and there was no place he could sell them, he decided to feed it all to Lilith Pagoda. Lil Pagoda flowed with light. Compared to the fragility of the past, it seemed to be brimming with life. The tip of the tower that had been as sharp as a sword was now much more round. The slender body seemed much broader. The past 5-colored pagoda gave people the feeling of darkness and sharpness. Now, it was more lively and nimble, the aura of killing was much smaller. What Suemo felt most strange about were the 5 little gourds appeared on the eaves of the first level. The 5 little gourds were all of different colors, belonging to the 5 elements. They were the size of a grain of a rice. If Suemo did not look closely, he wouldn't have found them. Suemo and Lil Pagoda communicated many times on the use of the 5 little gourds. Lil Pagoda tried very hard to explain, but Suemo didn't understand even after a long time. Full of anticipation, Suemo couldn't do anything except throw the question to one side. To Suemo's joy, Lil Pagoda spat out a piece of gray mud again. It was slightly larger than last time, about the size of his thumb. Suemo put the little bit of gray mud into his ring. The other Shidi also knew now that the sect had already left Sky Moon Jie. Everyone's mood became terrible. Some people joined other sections. Suemo didn't stop them. In situations like this, they were certainly free to enter other sections. Power and responsibility were tied together. The sect surrendered their responsibilities to them. Accordingly, they also surrendered the power to constrain them. All of Suemo's efforts were put on cultivation. He could feel his cultivation progressing extremely quickly. On a certain day, he finally started his charge at Ningmai. Chapter 197, Ningmai. The Ling power inside Suemo's body was thick like a cloud as it filled his channels. If it was not being channeled, they would be abnormally quiet and flow extremely slow as though they had stopped. This was a characteristic unique to Zhuji Ling power. The Ling power in Suemo's body was thick like rain clouds, showing that his cultivation had reached the peak of Zhuji. The reason that his cultivation had grown so rapidly recently was all due to a strange repulsion at the little holes in his dantian. Before, any Ling power he absorbed would spill from the little holes. Right now, the holes still existed, but the Ling power in his dantian would not spill and leave. Suemo was very suspicious that this strange repelling force was caused by the draw of earth energy away from his body, as this began occurring after the earth energy had tempered his body. However, the mysteries of channels were not something a little person like Suemo could understand. He quickly threw it to the back of his mind and started to cultivate. The cloud-like Ling power relentlessly circulated in his body. Suemo had already maintained this for 4 hours. His Ling power was active while his mind and body were all at their best condition. He started to charge into Ningmai. All the Ling power in his body were roused, they started to flow through the channels at a speed Suemo was familiar with. Ningmai, or concentrating channels, required condensing the mist-like Ling power into liquid form Ling power. The simplest way was to continuously absorb Ling power, thus increasing the density of Ling power, causing it to condense from gas into liquid. However, the process was not so simple when this condensation occurred in real life. After one's cultivation reached the peak of Zhuji, they would encounter resistance when they absorbed Ling power. If they could not absorb Ling power, they could not increase the density of Ling power. Many people found themselves stuck at this gate into Ningmai. There were many ways to break through to the stage of Ningmai, such as Ling Dan. The markets would sell Ningmai Dan. The success rate was high, but not everyone liked to use them. Different than Zhuji, those in Ningmai stage started to comprehend the laws of the world. The breakthrough to Ningmai was a wonderful opportunity to comprehend all kinds of laws. Xiuzhe who had confidence and high aspirations for themselves usually would not choose the Ningmai Dan but to comprehend by themselves. Suemo chose to comprehend it himself. With his present wealth it was very easy to buy a Ningmai Dan, but he was understood that the easier the beginning was, the easier it was to trip at later stages. If he walked more steadily at the beginning, even if he suffered more, the beneficial it would be for him later. He had grown in this half year, and with the recent battle he had grown rapidly. This kind of growth was not just in cultivation and formations, it was also the growth of his mind. Continuously encountering certain things caused him to understand many things. Even though it was hard to change his habit of taking shortcuts when possible, but regarding cultivation, he was abnormally steadfast. Carefully channeling the Ling power in his body, his spiritual leaf hand opened like a flower. Any change in his Ling power would be instantly detected by the leaf hand. Using spiritual power had become Zhuo Mo's instinct. After he started embryonic breathing spiritual cultivation, he became used to using his consciousness in any situation. This habit had given him many benefits. He became even more determined to persist in this habit. The mist-like Ling power continuously magnified in front of his eyes. He could even see tinier wisps of Ling power swimming within. They were like a group of tadpoles. They appeared to be one, but the interior was made up of countless little entities. There was a weak attraction between wisps of Ling power, but as the Ling power in the channels continued to increase, there was a kind of repulsion that occurred between the Ling power. The amount of Ling power in the channels had reached a limit. For some reason, Zhuo Mo suddenly thought of Wukong Mountains, thought of the time that he had been farming in Ling fields at Wukong Mountain. A faint sorrow slowly flowed at the bottom of his heart. The Ling power inside his body seemed to feel his emotions and instantly slowed down. It took only a short while for Zhuo Mo to fight his way out of the sadness. The world could not be predicted. He had started to learn how to deal with these emotions. He didn't hold any hatred towards Wukong Sword sect. The sect leader's choice was not wrong at the core. With the exception of a few conservative and extremely old sects, the great majority of sects were extremely mobile. He just had never thought this would happen to him. Focusing, Zhuo Mo controlled his thoughts and brought his attention back on his Ling power. He knew why he would suddenly recall farming Ling fields on Wukong Mountain. The mist made him think of little art of cloud and rain. He was so familiar with the little art of cloud and rain, he couldn't be any more familiar. It was the spell out of the 5 basic spells that he had the deepest comprehension of. For a long time, he had relied on it to not starve. Wasn't the process of Ningmai just transforming water element power to rain? The little art of cloud and rain required first to use the spell to gather water element power. When the power reached a certain level, it would form water drops and fall as rain, nurturing the Ling fields. The two were so similar. How did Ling rain form? Zhuo Mo was too familiar. In the past, in order to study the little art of cloud and rain, he almost took apart everything in the little art of cloud and rain. Water element power was invisible and intangible. It could not directly turn to water drops. There were 2 requirements, one was having enough water element power, the other was collisions. The water element power had to collide among themselves. Only through mutual collisions to overcome the repulsion between the water element power could water drops form. The water drop would increase in size and condense in the air. One way worked, so it worked for 10,000 problems. Zhuo Mo's thoughts became abnormally clear and he was very confident that his direction was not wrong. Since the Ling power in his body had reached a limit and no matter how he tried, he could not absorb any more Ling power, then what he needed to do now was to cause the Ling power to collide. To cause the collisions in little art of cloud and rain, Zhuo Mo used turbulence in the air. The changes in air flow would cause the water element power to continuously collide. Naturally, this method would not work on Ling power. Other than Ling power, the channels did not contain anything else. His direction was not wrong. What he had to find now was a realistic method. After thinking for a while, he thought of a way. Smashing Ling power. If he split his Ling power into 2 parts and then made them smash into each other at high speeds, would that accomplish the effects of a collision? His mind became alert. It would be difficult for others to use their mind for 2 things at once, but he possessed the leaf hand, it wasn't a problem. He didn't rashly start but continued to sit and ponder. He thought through every possible problem that he could think of. Some questions that he didn't know the answers to, he would only know when he tried it. Zhuo Mo decided to start experimenting. He split the Ling power inside his body to two parts. The spiritual leaf hands started to shake, two portions of Ling power started to move along their own paths. One half of Ling power flowed through the channels on his left side, revolving clockwise. The other half of his Ling power flowed through the channels on his right and revolved counterclockwise. Zuomo's mind was clear, untainted by mortal matters, no sorrow or joy. On his body, there was none of the frugality and worldliness that he usually had, but a faint and clean aura. His Ling power circulated while gradually speeding up. The reason that low-level Xiuzha attacks were so weak, besides their cultivation, was that they were limited by the speed the Ling power circulated through their body. When high-level Xiuzha thought, their Ling power would be like a tsunami, and a killing move would form. For low-level Xiuzha, even if they managed to respond in time, and channeled the Ling power in their body, the time that was needed was much longer than high-level Xiuzha. But as Zuomo continued to speed up the circulation, the speed of the two groups of Ling power had reached the limits of his endurance. His channels started to hurt. The intensity was pretty much enough. Zuomo gritted his teeth. The two high-speed flows of Ling power moved simultaneously from up and down towards his dantian. The dantian was the place chose for the collision. Compared to the narrow channels, the dantian was much broader and the amount of Ling power it could tolerate was much higher. This held a certain degree of danger. The dantian was the nexus of all the channels in the body. If he made a mistake, then it would be a calamity. Cultivation was to go against the natural order and it was full of dangers. This was just Ningmai. If his cultivation deepened, he would encounter more dangers such as heart demons and heavenly tribulations, and risk the destruction of his soul at any time. Knowing that there was danger, Zuomo's mind was abnormally clear without any fear. Two high-speed Ling power flows charged into the dantian and collided without any finesse. Zuomo's body shook, his head ringing. It was as though he had been struck by a large hammer. He felt his body boil. There was an instant where his soul was outside his body, his mind completely blank, not knowing what was happening. But when Zuomo woke up, he felt his body was unspeakably comfortable, soft and relaxed, so comfortable that he wanted to groan. Zuomo did not sink into this comfort. He carefully inspected the changes in the Ling power at his dantian. A strange scene was occurring in front of him. The two flows of mist that had ran head first at each other merged into a ball of Ling power, and this Ling power ball was slowly drizzling rain. The feeling of comfort was from the Ling power raining down at the dantian. As the Ling power continued to collide, the Ling power rain constantly rained down on the dantian. In a little while, the dantian turned to a little pond. Zuomo was overjoyed. These water-like Ling power meant that Zuomo had successfully entered Ningmai. He suppressed the happiness inside and carefully channeled the two streams of Ling power. When all the Ling power had collided, that was completion. The Ling power fell like rain. Zuomo patiently waited for the last thread of Ling power to collide into drops and land in the Ling power pond below. Feeling his dantian was hollow, Zuomo took out a piece of jingshe and furiously absorbed. When the Ling power was absorbed inside his body, he repeated the process and turned the Ling power into liquid. Zuomo absorbed 3 pieces of third-grade jingshe before his dantian felt slightly filled. He stopped. Opening his eyes, he could not disguise the joy he felt. The Ling power in his body was 3 times what he had in Zhuji. This now was just after he had broken through. He finally understood why Ningmai was so much stronger than Zhuji. At some unknown time, his body had become wet, a sticky black layer pasted onto his body and emitting a nasty odor. Zuomo hurriedly cast the little art of cloud and rain, and washed his body clean. The black substance were impurities from his body. After finishing, Zuomo felt his body was filled with Ling power, unable to stop himself from howling. Lil Pagoda that was in charge of the sky ring moon chime formation simultaneously started the formation with a ring from the Buddha sound hoop. All of Desolate Wood Reef could hear it. Chapter 198, what is the situation? After venting his joy, Zhuemo gradually calmed down. He quickly made a new discovery. His vision had little tiny threads. What was this? Zhuemo's heart moved and he started using his scripture. As expected, these strands flowed towards him. Ling energy. So that was how Ling energy looked in the air. Zhuemo suddenly realized. Quickly, another question popped up in his head. Then where did the Ling energy in the air come from? Ling veins? Then where did Ling veins come from? Zhuemo laughed. Not even Jindan experts could explain these topics. He was just a Ningmai, what was the use in thinking so much? He brought his attention back to his body. Now that he broke through to Ningmai, there were many places that needed a reassessment. If someone asked Zhuemo what the dominant feeling of Ningmai was, then it was the feeling of enough Ling power. The Ling power in his body was 3 times what it had been previously. The feeling of having enough Ling power was extremely pleasurable, as though his body was filled with power. The lack of Ling power had been his biggest limit before. Now that he had broken through the limit, it was an exhilarating feeling. The spells that he could not complete before, he could easily cast them now. This was just the first stratum of Ningmai. He made a rough guess of the Ling power inside his body. It was about 3 Jing. When one reached Ningmai, the Ling power inside the body was measured with a new unit, Jing. The Ling power of 1 Jing was the Ling power contained in a standard 3rd grade Jingshi. The peak of the first stratum of Ningmai was about 10 Jing. After that, he would reach a period of steady growth. The Ling power in Ningmai was far purer than in Zhuji. There was a change of properties in regard to power and control. Zhuemo flipped his hands, threads of fire began dancing. In an instant a 4-turn fire formation had taken form. There was none of the previous difficulty. The feeling of ease made it enjoyable for Zhuemo previously. When he then tried using Li water burning heavens, this move would have taken half of his Ling power, but now it was easily accomplished. The flame like water carried a killing intent with it. Zhuemo, having killed now, had a slight aura of killing that he did not have before. The plentiful Ling power flooded through the sword, the water-shaped flame was abnormally detailed. Ling power was the foundation of a Xiuzhe. Without Ling power, even if one had the best talismans, they could not be used. An example were 4th grade talismans. To use killing moves with flying swords under 4th grade, it would usually take 1 Jing of Ling power. Zhuemo was able to use it 3 times now. In Zhuji, he could only just manage it once. Li water burning heavens was a killing move. Zhuemo had to almost use half of his Ling power to use it one. Now that his Ling power was more pure, the expenditure was also less. He could easily cast it 10 times. To use an intermediate 4th grade flying sword to cast a killing move, it would use approximately 2 Jing of Ling power. Good talismans were powerful, but the Ling power they consumed were also very terrifying. Not everyone could use them. Only the best talismans were powerful and used little Ling power, like the soul-tethered talismans. But those talismans were a matter of luck. The exhilarated Zhuemo furiously worked himself. Chun Yuqing carefully inspected the butterfly chrysalises in the beast pool. 3 butterfly chrysalis silently hung on the wall of the best pool. The patterns on each of the butterfly chrysalis were different. One was multicolored, another was faint blue, and the last one was gray and nondescript. Of the 6 infant worms, only 3 had become chrysalises. This success rate was not very high, but Chun Yuqing was not demotivated. Instead, he was full of anticipation. The transformation process of the 3 infant larvae had been completely different than any he had seen before. From the patterns on the chrysalises, the 3 Ling butterflies would be different types. This point made him sigh. In his previous experience, he had never encountered this kind of situation. The treatment of the 3 infant larvae had not been different. Theoretically, the mature Ling butterflies should have been the same type, and only differed in quality. The more he studied the beast pool, the more wondrous he found the beast pool. He still held a grudge about the incident with the Black Wind Bandits. That feeling of helplessness, of only being able to watch, he would never forget in his life. Having been stimulated, he put 200% of his effort into these Ling butterflies. Being abandoned by the sect was not a huge blow to him. He had only been in Wukong Sword sect for a short period of time, and didn't have a strong sense of belonging to the sect. He knew that many of the Shixiang were leaving, but he did not go with them. After these days, his confidence in Zhuo Mo far surpassed his confidence in sections. Compared to the tragic outlook of other people, he felt this situation was pretty good. At least, Zhuo Shixiang would not be re-stained by the sect, his future prospects may even be better. Gongsun Cha Shidi also did not leave. The three most powerful people in this group were still together. Those people that left would definitely regret it, he thought. Quickly, he threw those thoughts far away, his eyes staring at the beast pool. Sounds of footsteps came over. He didn't turn around. A head appeared over his shoulder. "How is it?" Gongsun Cha asked in a low voice. The two of them chose to stay and their relationship had become close. Gongsun Cha was a butcher, but they hadn't hunted any Ling beasts recently, so he was very idle. Zhuo Mo was in seclusion every day, so he only had Chen Yucheng's company. The duty of taking the tolls landed on Gongsun Cha's body. This guy looked gentle and refined, but his face was thick, his heart dark, and extremely brave. Facing Ningmai experts, he wasn't timid at all, tearing pieces off. The docile Chen Yucheng could only gape as he watched. Soon, Chen Yucheng didn't dare to move his eyes away, nervousness was apparent in his voice. Gongsun Cha wasn't so nervous. He looked in interest at the three chrysalises in the beast pool. Boop, a light sound. The multicolored chrysalis was the first to move. It first swayed and then something broke through and made a little hole. Chen Yucheng's gaze became even more nervous. A dash of multiple colors flashed through the little hole, and a nimble multicolored butterfly appeared in the beast pool. Joy came onto Chen Yucheng's face. Boop boop. Another two sounds. Soon, another two Ling butterflies appeared in the beast pool, one gray, one blue. The Ling butterflies danced in the beast pool nimbly, but no matter how they flew, they could not fly out of the beast pool. Chen Yucheng's expression was excited. At the side, Gongsun Cha laughed, and hurriedly reminded, "Take a look." Hearing this, Chen Yucheng came back to his senses and his hands cast a spell. A dash of light flew out of his hands and accurately covered the multicolored Ling butterfly. His eyes suddenly widened as though he had seen something he could not believe. Gongsun Cha hurriedly asked, "How is it?" Chen Yucheng's lips trembled. He didn't speak, his hands casting another spell covering another Ling butterfly. His eyes that had been wide suddenly bulged, his lips trembling again. "What is it? Tell me." Gongsun Cha's curiosity had been stirred and he pressed for an answer. Chen Yucheng still didn't speak, his lips trembling without stopping like waves. His hands were not very smooth as they cast a spell, stuttering so much that he failed a few times before he succeeded. Another dash of light flew out and covered the last Ling butterfly. It was like he was struck with a body paralysis curse, suddenly freezing and looking in a daze at the Ling butterfly covered in the light. "Is there a problem?" Gongsun Cha felt his heart was speeding up. He swore inside, "Damn it, this docile and reliable really guy knows how to whet someone's appetite." At this time, he suddenly heard Chen Yucheng shriek. He jumped in fright and turned over to face. Chen Yucheng, face bright red, fell backwards like a piece of wood. What was this situation? Gongsun Cha gaped as he stood in his spot, not understanding what the situation was. Zhuo Mo contentedly came out of the lava cave. Having broken through into Ningmai, the insecurity in his heart had lessened greatly. To say of nothing else, just stepping into Ningmai, with the aid of the big formation of the Desolate Wood Reef, he wasn't afraid of Ningmai third stratum experts. If he used some more thought, and forged the 5 essence sword set, his power would increase a few more fractions. His howl had alarmed all of the Desolate Wood Reef. The Xiuzhe that had been staying on the island instantly understood that Zuo had broken through to Ningmai. The Xiuzhe that had previously been restless instantly became quiet. No matter how strong the formation was, before people saw it, many did not believe it. Zuo did not lack for fame, but what was also famous was his zhuji cultivation. In the eyes of the great majority, this point was enough to erase his advantages in other areas. This was Sky Moon Jie, dominated by Sword Xiu Sky Moon Jie. But now, Zuo had managed to fill in the last shortcoming. In the hearts of others, Zuo's danger had risen linearly. A Ningmai Xiuzhe who could fight Ningmai when he was in Zhuji, his danger did not have to be stated now that he was in Ningmai. All of that didn't have much to do with Zuo. He was hungering after his 5 essence sword set, but before that, he had to first absorb Golden Crow fire. After the stalagmite fire turned to inky black lava white fire, it was a 3rd-grade fire seed. However, for the present Zuo, it wasn't quite enough. After a 3rd-grade fire was used with the 4-turn fire formation, it could barely process 4th-grade materials. It could barely forge 4th-grade materials like fox teeth and blue icicle crystal into sword billets. But if he wanted to forge a flying sword, it was not enough. For other people, finding a 4th-grade fire seed was as difficult as ascending to the heavens, but for Zuo, he completely did not have worry about this area. The amount of Golden Crow fire on his hands could be counted in double digits. Golden Crow fire was a rare fine quality specimen in 4th-grade fire seeds, and was one of the most sought-after fire seeds. But the problem that Zuo faced was a difficult one. Was he to use the pure Golden Crow fire to replace inky black lava white fire, or use the Golden Crow fire as the primary body and merge it with inky black lava white fire? Both actions had their advantages and disadvantages. Pure Golden Crow fire was undoubtedly strong in its power, but its domineering and yang qualities made it so that it could be used to process a smaller range of items. If inky black lava white fire was added, the power would not be as good as pure Golden Crow fire, but because it had many qualities it could be used to process a larger range of items. For example, it could process cold and icy items like the blue icicle crystal, but pure Golden Crow fire could not do that. It really was a painful problem. Zuo had a headache. Just at this time, he saw Gongsun Cha pant as he ran over in a panic. Seeing him, the other shouted, "Shixiang, not good. Chen Shidi has fainted." Chapter 199, Beast Service Card. When Zuo hurried to the beast pool, but when he saw the glowing Chen Yucheng, he stopped in his tracks. "Didn't you say he fainted?" Zuo turned around and saw Gongsun Cha's stunned face. Chen Yucheng became even more exuberant when he saw Zuo and came charging over, "Shixiang, Shixiang. Success. We're successful." Zuo didn't know what was going on. Success? What success? Ling butterflies. Chen Yucheng spread his hands. There were 3 jade cards in his hands, beast service cards. Zuo's eyes lit up, and unconsciously raised his voice. "Really? Let me see." Beast service card, a piece of 4 CUN long and 1.5 CUN jade board. There were lucky clouds at the 4 corners. At the very center, a butterfly was motionless. Holding it in his hand, Zuo flipped it over several times. So this is a beast service card. Gongsun Cha threw his previous inquiry to the back of his mind and crowded over. Zuo did not scorn Gongsun Cha's excitement. It was the first time he had seen a beast service card as well. The earth-plowing earthworm and other ling beasts that he used before were too low in grade, and didn't have the qualifications to use beast service cards. Only high-grade ling beasts would need beast service cards. To store a ling beast into the card was to process and then make it submit to the owner, so the beast would follow the owner's orders. The beast service card was also the residence of the ling beast. "What's the grade of the 3 ling butterflies?" Zuo still flipped and caressed the card. The patterns on the 3 beast service cards were similar but all had their own characteristics. One of the cards had multicolored patterns, one was entirely blue, the last gray-white. Chen Yucheng was full of pride. The multicolored is the peak of 3rd grade, the rest are high 3rd grade. Facing the expectant eyes of the other two, he took the 3 beast service cards and introduced, the Ling butterfly that is multicolored has 3 spells, Rainbow Pupils, Illusion Poison, and Poison Change. I've never heard of the 3 spells before, so I do not know what the effects are. Shixiang will need to investigate it yourself. 3rd grade Ling beasts that can use 3 spells naturally are the best of 3rd grade. But these 3 spells are really weird. The Dong Fu poisonous moth is only 2nd grade, why would this Ling butterfly be primarily poisonous? As he spoke, Chen Yuqing slowly wandered off the beaten path of conversation yet again. Zhuo Mo and Gong Sun Cha helplessly exchanged a look. It wasn't the first time they had encountered this kind of situation. Chen Yucheng was a maniac about raising animals, so at any time, he could digress on a topic. Zhuo Mo lightly coughed. Chen Yucheng seemed to wake from his dream, bashfully scratching his forehead. Oh, let's continue. This blue butterfly has 2 spells, but both are water element spells. It looks like it isn't any different from Rain Mark Butterfly, but it definitely isn't a Rain Mark Butterfly. So strange. Seeing he was going to wander off again, Gong Sun Cha hurriedly reminded, the last one? Oh, Chen Yucheng was pulled back, this gray butterfly is also very unique. It only has 1 spell, Ling Eye. This gray butterfly is most suitable for Gongsun Shidi. Ling Eyes can detect the density of Ling energy. If it is used to dismember beasts, it is a great aid. Gongsun Cha did not hesitate in taking the gray butterfly's beast service card from his hands. This one is mine. Zhuo Mo naturally chose the multicolored beast service card. For things that he did not understand, he always followed the most basic rationale, choose the most expensive one. Chen Yuqing did not have much interest in the remaining beast service card. We should sell this one. High 3rd grade, it can sell for a pretty good price. Zhuo Mo thought, and then shook his head. Shidi, take it. The situation is not good now, if you have it, Shidi can have a measure of self-protection. Exactly. Gongsun Cha agreed. Okay, Chen Yuqing nodded, but my cultivation is low. If I want to process this beast service card, it would take a lot of time. It's worth it no matter how long you spend, Zhuo Mo said. Then the beast pool, we're not using it anymore. Chen Yuqing understood what Zhuo Mo meant. No, Zhuo Mo shook his head. Let's destroy it so it won't land on other people's hands. Chen Yucheng and Gongsun Cha became silent, the mood instantly becoming heavy. Seeing the two seem very dejected, especially Chen Yucheng, Zhuo Mo comforted, it's fine. When we find a new place to rest, we can build a new one. Chen Yucheng finally looked more expectant. Gongsun Cha suddenly said, I just heard a shout before. Did Shixiang break into Ningmai? That was me, Zhuo Mo nodded. The two instantly became lighter, the depression on their hearts sweeping away. Chen Yucheng smiled and said, that's great. Shixiang is in Ningmai, now I can sleep peacefully at night. He was full of confidence in Zhuo Mo. Gongsun Cha did not speak, but there was a light in his eyes, the smile on his face unspeakably devious. Our income isn't bad recently. At least 50 or 60 people every day, at max 100 people. Each person is charged 100 pieces of 3rd grade Jingshi. Overall, the daily income is 10 to 20 pieces of 4th grade Jingshi. 10 to 20 pieces of 4th grade Jingshi, Zhuo Mo sucked in a breath. All of his discomfort and dejection were instantly swept away. This terrifying number made his little heart beat rapidly. A short time ago, 1 piece of 4th grade Jingshi was an enormous sum for him. As expected, it was easy to get rich in troubled times. Even bandit leaders like Zhang Hao only carried about 10 or so pieces of 4th grade Jingshi on his body. That was Zhuo Mo's daily income now. An enormous feeling of good fortune surrounded Zhuo Mo. He felt he had never been so rich before. Jingshi increase a person's courage. Zuomo's confidence shot up. So what if there was Yama? These days, there were no monsters that could not be smashed to death with Jingshi. According to my estimates, this is just the beginning. After a while, the migration will reach a peak. A conservative estimate would be 500 xiuzhi passing through each day. Gongsun Cha's refined and delicate face smiled softly and darkly, making Chun Yunchang's body feel cold. 500, Zuemo felt so many Jingshi were flying in front of his eyes, his heart was flying. One person was 100 pieces of third-grade Jingshi, 500 people, that was 100 pieces of fourth-grade Jingshi. No matter what the price of commodities had grown to now, 100 pieces of fourth-grade Jingshi was definitely a number with great purchasing power. However, this Jingshi isn't that easy to make, Gongsun Cha slowly said. Zuomo's heated head instantly cleared. What? People dare to plot against us. When he said this, his voice was full of killing intent. Groups with many members may not be willing to pay, Gongsun Cha said shortly. Zuomo recovered from the blow of Jingshi. That was right. If a group had many people, they would definitely not be willing to pay the toll. 100 pieces of third-grade Jingshi was fine for Ningmai, but it was not an insignificant sum for Zhuji Xiuzhi. A single person would be afraid of the formation on the island and the golden armor guards, but if there were many people, the situation would not be easy to control. For Jingshi, Zuemo had more enthusiasm than anyone, his brains calculating faster than anyone else. That's easy. We can hire some Ningmai sword show. 100 pieces of third-grade Jingshi a day. This price, we can hire many Ningmai sword show. Zuemo smirked, I'm in Ningmai now. I can expand the formation. Who won't give the Jingshi, GE will destroy their souls. Zuemo said hatefully. Gongsun Cha's eyes were bright while Chun Yucheng's face was full of shock. Hong Yang saw the little island coming up and released a breath inside. It wasn't just him, the 10 guards behind him also released a breath. Long flights were exhausting. There was a little island up ahead. They could finally rest for a while. That should be the desolate wood reef. We can use the area to rest and recover. After 2 days, we will pass the Jie River, he ordered. The 10 guards protected him as they flew towards the desolate wood reef. Hong Yang was the storekeeper of a large merchant business who had been sent to Sky Moon Jie. He had recently received an order from the merchant house for him to take all of the store's Jingshi and important talismans to leave Sky Moon Jie and enter Little Mountain Jie. When he received this order, he had almost assumed that someone was pretending to send a false order. Only when he personally went to confirm it did he know what was happening. So he took the 10 strongest guards of the shop, and made a low-key escape to Little Mountain Jie. As the procession flew near Desolate Wood Reef, they unconsciously slowed their speed. In the sky above the Desolate Wood Reef, a golden sun hung high, countless golden threads falling down. Many rings of light were strung on the golden strings, occasionally chiming. Before nearing, Hong Yang felt the domineering and pressuring presence from the formation. Such a powerful formation. He was shocked. He wasn't a country bumpkin. To be able to manage the merchant business of one Jie, his eyes were undoubtedly skilled. Ah! One of the guards gasped in shock. What is it? He couldn't help ask. This formation seems a bit like the formation that the sword test conferences Zuemo used, the guard pondered for a long time before saying, but above Zuemo's formation was a moon, this formation has a sun. Zuemo, Hong Yang chewed on this name. One of the most accomplished disciples of Wukong sword sect, he naturally knew about him. But his information channels were wide. He also knew that Wukong sword sect had already moved to Bright Wave Jie. A core disciple like Zuemo definitely wouldn't remain in Sky Moon Jie. However, it was better to be careful. He was carrying large amounts of Jingshi and talismans on his body and naturally had to be careful. Even more, the presence of the formation could not lie. No matter who was it that set up the formation, a person able to set up such a large formation wasn't a simple person. This one's group would like to borrow space to rest for a few days, he shouted. Welcome, Thank you for your patronage, each person 100 pieces of third-grade jingsher, a soft voice passed out of the formation. One person 100 piece of third-grade jingsher. This was extortion. This definitely was extortion. The 10 guards instantly became angry. 100 pieces of third-grade jingsher was enough to buy a pretty good third-grade talisman. The leader of the guards even had his flying sword in his hand. Hong Yang still kept his calm. This price was very high, but it wasn't as though he could not accept it. The other was not afraid to call a high price, they definitely had something they relied on. All right. Hong Yang did not hesitate in nodding. The other did not seem to be afraid that he would go back on his word. The big formation moved, and revealed a passage. I'll go first. The leader of the guards did not forget his duty, and walked at the very front. He had the highest cultivation of all the guards. Of the 10 guards, 3 were Ningmai, the other 7 were the peak of Zhuji. All of them acted as though they were facing a great enemy, their expressions nervous as they carefully proceeded into the passage. Chapter 200, Peddling. As he entered the passage, the shock in Hong Yang's heart increased. This Jie River was the only passageway leading to Little Mountain Jie. He had crossed it so many times before that he had lost count. He remembered clearly this was the territory of Heart Lake Sword Sect and was guarded by a few disciples. He had had several interactions with these Heart Lake Sword Sect disciples. Every time he passed through he would give a few gifts to maintain a close relationship. He remembered those Heart Lake disciples had no interest in developing the Desolate Wood Reef, so the Desolate Wood Reef was always very bare. When did the Desolate Wood Reef become like this? As he landed from the passage of the formation, what he saw along the way was high defenses, heavy jinji, so much that if they put 1 foot out of the border, they would instantly be killed by the formation. The appearing and disappearing sounds landed in everyone's eyes like an intangible killing intent. The group walked as though there was a sword at their backs, their bodies cold, hairs standing on end. Even the face of the guard leader went from bright to dimmed. He clearly was very wary. Such a big formation could not have been built in one day. The shock in Hong Yang's heart increased. Did Heart Lake Sword Sect do this? In reality, from the perspective of a businessperson, Hong Yang felt that constructing a restricted area here was a very profitable business. He decided to wait and see. 100 pieces of third-grade jingsher per person was just a small number to him, but from the perspective of others, it was just a reckless toll. It did not seem like something a big sect like Heart Lake Sword Sect would do. What he was most afraid of was there would be no limit to the others' demands. Luckily, he had brought almost all the elite of the merchant house with him. Of the 10 guards, 3 were Ningmai experts, the others were all peak of Zhuji. As expected, when the world was in disorder anything could occur. Hong Yang sighed. Welcoming him was a delicate and handsome youth and 3 golden armor guards. The youth had a friendly smile on his face. His cultivation was not high, just Zhuji. Hong Yang's gaze landed on the 3 guards behind him, and he was stunned. Not just him, even the leader of the guards and the 2 other Ningmai guards changed expression. The 3 guards were completely covered in golden armor, only revealing their eyes. The 3's gazes were cold and indifferent, without a hint of emotion. Their killing intent was tangible. Each person was holding an exaggeratedly large broadsword that seemed designed to make people feel even more intimidated. Where did these 3 come from? The heart of the guard leader sunk to the bottom. The brutality revealed by the aura of the 3 golden armor guards surpassed any bandit he had ever encountered. All 3 made his heart move and feel a strong sense of danger. He knew what this meant. It meant that the cultivation of all 3 people were higher than him. Hong Yang's heart was even more stunned. The gap between his cultivation and the 3 golden armor guards was even larger, so he felt it even more strongly. Ningmai. These 3 were actually Ningmai. In an instant, he was able to judge the other was of uncommon origins. In Sky Moon Jia, Ningmai was the most powerful Xiuzha that could be hired, and even then it was very difficult to hire them. The 3 Ningmai guards under his command had been sent by the merchant house. He had tried to hire his own but had never succeeded. His eyes landed on the three. The flying swords that the three golden armor guards were wearing, the golden ling armor covering their bodies, they were not ordinary. Your patronage is 100 pieces of third-grade jingshe per person. The youth's voice was not loud, refreshing and clear as the spring wind. Hong Yang refreshingly took out the jingshe he prepared and handed over, smiling and said, "What is this little brother called?" "Uncle can call me Gongsun Cha." Gongsun Cha smiled as he took the jingshe. Calculating the income today, the smile on his face became greater. "Oh, so it is little Gongsun brother." Hong Yang bowed with his hands, and pretended to be surprised. "Your sect is?" "This one has passed the desolate wood reef many times, and has never seen the island so prosperous. Your sect really is good at managing." Gongsun Cha smiled. "We are roaming show, no sect." Roaming show? Hong Yang almost spat blood. Was he kidding? The roaming show of Sky Moon Jia, how could they have such power? Gongsun Cha pointed at a row of houses. "You can find a place to rest. No one will disturb you. If you need supplies, not far up ahead is a shop. Of course, the items will be a bit more expensive. You can rest, and leave at any time. However, if you wish to enter again, you will need to pay the fee again." Finishing, Gongsun Cha left. He was a very busy person. Seeing the other did not show signs of making more demands, Hong Yang's heart finally rested. He was transporting an astonishing number of talismans, and naturally was very nervous, being suspicious along the trip. They walked in the direction that Gongsun Cha had pointed in towards the houses. The houses were very simple, each yard made from normal rocks without any decoration, and no comfort to speak of. However, many of the houses were occupied. Hong Yang suddenly stopped. "Is it Longjin Sanren?" A middle-aged shouja drinking in the yard suddenly raised his head, joyful surprise on his face. "Storekeeper Hong." He hurriedly to stand and greet. Come in, I didn't think I would encounter Storekeeper Hong here, lucky." Hong Yang motioned for the guards to guard the outside and walked in with the leader of the guards. He smiled and said, "Sanren's relaxed attitude, this little brother has never been able to learn it. Ha! Brother Hong always talks so well. Come, sit. Longjin Sanren said. Hong Yang was not courteous and sat down opposite Longjin Sanren. Longjin Sanren was one of his old acquaintances, and they had known each other before he had become the storekeeper and had kept in contact after that. Longjin Sanren was dedicated to cultivation. A decade ago, he had already broken through to Ningmai's second stratum. His present cultivation was unknown. Does Sanren know the history of the island owner? Hong Yang asked in a low voice. Haha, old brother must have just entered the island. Longjin Sanren seemed to have expected that Hong Yang would ask, and said with a smile. Old brother definitely would not be unfamiliar with the owner of the island. This island was originally the property of Heart Lake Sword Sect, and then it switched to Wukong Sword Sect. Their disciple, Zhuo Mo, was sent to guard this place. Didn't Wukong Sword Sect move to Bright Wave Jie? Hong Yang could help but ask. Haha, Zhuo Mo does not belong to a sect now, so he is the owner of the island, Longjin Sanren. Hong Yang stilled and then gasped, impossible. How can Wukong Sword Sect abandon their core disciple? Even more, it is Zhuo Mo. The leader of the guards behind him also had a face full of disbelief. Such a talented disciple as Zhuo Mo, no sect would easily abandon him. I don't understand what had happened, but right now, the master of the island is undoubtedly Zhuo Mo. Longjin Sanren suddenly remembered something. Speaking of it, old brother really came at a good time. Oh, how so? Hong Yang still hadn't recovered from the last shock and asked instinctively. This Zhuo Mo is really a genius. He astounded everyone by making the Golden Crow pill before. Now, somehow, he made Golden Crow fire. Longjin Sanren sighed. Golden Crow fire. Hong Yang jumped in fright. 4th grade Golden Crow fire. Yes, that Golden Crow fire. Longjin Sanren smiled, so I say that old brother really came at a good time. The news has not spread yet. Otherwise, countless people would have headed here already. Fourth grade Golden Crow Fire, Hong Yang muttered. Longjin Sanren took a drink of tea. I heard the news when I encountered Bo Feng on the road. Pity that I have no power to purchase it. Old brother, you might not know, but the Black Wind bandits attacked this place, but they were all killed. He shook his head, sighing. I was dumbstruck when I heard this news. All killed. And it was the Black Wind bandits. If Wukong's sword sect learned this, they would be so regretful. Zhuji unable to kill the Black Wind bandits, we have really wasted our lives. Just a few days earlier, he broke through to Ningmai. Such a genius, I have never heard of one like him. Hong Yang seemed to be struck by lightning, his entire head ringing. Longjin Sanren had given him too much news, so much he needed time to digest it. They chatted for a little more before he bid farewell. He needed to digest all this. The next day, he found Gongsun Cha. I heard that the island is selling Golden Crow Fire. This one wishes to buy. Gongsun Cha brought Hong Yang to Zuemo. When Hong Yang saw Zuemo, the stone in his heart landed. Zuemo could be considered one of the most talented and famous youths in Sky Moon Jia, and he was skilled in making dan. His business reputation had been very good before. When he heard about the Golden Crow Fire, he couldn't sit still. Fourth grade Golden Crow Fire was not something that he could buy when he wanted to. If he had a chance to buy it, his heart moved. If he could buy Golden Crow Fire, it could be counted as a large achievement. When he returned to the merchant house, his status would rise. Also, the clever Hong Yang had other plans. Other than Golden Crow Fire, Zuomo's personal wealth was extremely large. This kind of person was the high-end customer that business people liked the most. You want to buy Golden Crow Fire? Zuomo looked at Hong Yang, his mood well. Finally, someone was coming to buy Golden Crow Fire. Yes. Hong Yang said, can this one take a look at the true face of Golden Crow Fire? The other's carefulness did not make Zuomo feel displeasure. This meant that the other truly had interest in buying. He took out a mini box, opened it and pushed it in front of Hong Yang. A pure gold flame jumped in the box, the yang and domineering presence filled the room. Hong Yang was slightly excited. Golden Crow Fire. As expected, it really was Golden Crow Fire. And it was very pure. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Hong Yang asked, how does Mr. Zhuo plan on selling this? On the market now, Golden Crow Fire of this quality, the price is usually about 2 pieces of 4th grade Jingshi. Hong Yang's price was very just. However, Zuomo, who heard the other meaning in Hong Yang's words, followed along and said, does storekeeper Hong have a suggestion? Hong Yang knew the following was the most crucial time, and would test his skill as a salesperson. He seemed to have returned to those days as an apprentice. He was slightly excited. He said, this one does not have much Jingshi now, but have some interesting things that Mr. Zhuo might find interesting. Interesting things? Zuomo reacted very quickly. He hadn't thought that he would become the target of a sales pitch. However, he decided to see what the other could take out first. Chapter 201, Armed to the teeth. Zuomo was dazzled by the talismans in front of him. Noticing the change in Zuomo's eyes, Hong Yang was very proud. He took out a pair of silver wings the size of his palm. Look, this pair of thunder flowing light wings are intermediate 4th grade. It is the upgraded version of thunder wings. As fast as lightning and famed for its speed. This pair of thunder flowing light wings was forged by Jindan experts. Other than its peerless speed, its consumption of Ling power was made to be very low. At full speed, it would use 1 Jing of Ling power every 2 hours, and if it was at 80% of its speed, it would only use half a Jing every 2 hours. Such a fine item, it only is 60 piece of 4th grade Jingshi. Zuomo did not hesitate in nodding. I'll take it. Do you want to taste the extreme speed? Suemo was too familiar with the advertisement for thunder wings. Even more, this was thunder flowing light wings, an even better version. It was much faster. Lightning sparked around the palm-sized wings extremely beautifully. Hong Yang was joyous. Before he could speak, he heard Suemo add, 4 pairs. 4 pairs. 240 pieces of 4th grade Jingshi. Hong Yang felt like a blooming flower, a feeling of happiness spreading through his body. This trip was worth it. Big customer. Definitely a big customer. Look, the presents, the spending, this was the biggest whale among whales. Hong Yang was excited, completely excited. He perceptively discovered just how full Suemo's wallet was. It was as though he was shot up with chicken's blood. He felt the blood in his body burning as though it was exploding. He suppressed the impulse to shout. He sounded the horn of battle. 10,000 appearances gloves, referring to everything in the universe. Low 4th grade, not extremely fine, but very practical. Wearing these gauntlets, it means having the power of 10,000, one sword strike will be able to break open a mountain, unable to be stopped. If it was just this, I would be ashamed to take it out. Its biggest benefit is it uses almost no Ling power. Even Zhuji can wear it. 20 pieces of 4th grade Jingshi, a beautiful price. Buy. Putting it on to try, Suemo did not hesitate in nodding. 4 pairs. He thought of the 3 golden armor guards wearing the gloves. Adding on their exaggerated red broadswords, they could just charge through his enemies. Suemo couldn't help but be excited. 7-star sword boots, intermediate 4th grade, the 7-star step method is wondrous, unable to be predicted. As long as you are wearing it, you can easily avoid all kinds of attacks, your steps traceless, the best item for short-range movement. Other than that, it has a 7-star sword formation. If you step in a 7 stars pattern, the formation would take form automatically, making your attacks undefendable. Each pair is only 74 4th grade Jingshi. Buy. Suemo's eyes were bright, as he unhesitatingly nodded. 4 pairs. Hong Yang completely got into the rhythm, despite having never been as excited as he was now. Same heart necklace. This is a rare upper 4th grade talisman. It can be called great craftsmanship. It is able to let your mind connect to 6 others. The best aid to melee fighting. 150 pieces of 4th grade Jingshi. Suemo's eyes could not move away. He instantly nodded. Buy. This was truly a good thing. He instantly got the 3 golden armor guards to come over. He put on the same heart necklace, and cast the corresponding spell. He instantly felt 3 clear intangible connections. His mind moved, and one of the golden armor guards suddenly went forward 3 steps. Suemo was overjoyed. With this necklace, his offensive strength was elevated. This is snake pupil belt, the battle was not finished. When Hong Yang went back to his residence, he was still somewhat dazed. What he had experienced today had been like a dream. Suemo had almost cleared out all the talismans in his ring. He had never encountered a customer as rich as this one, it was too scary. Thinking about the little pile of mini boxes in his ring, the feeling of surrealism became even stronger. This time, he really made a profit. Suemo saw the golden armor guards armed to the teeth, and grinned. All 4th grade talismans that dazzled a person's eyes. The present golden armor guards could be described by one phrase only, deadly weapons. Gong Sun Cha and Chun Yucheng were dumbstruck. Was this Shouja? It was 3 display racks for talismans. Any place that a talisman could be hung on the body of the golden armor guard, Suemo did not leave it empty. Hands holding the crimson fire broadsword, bodies covered in golden armor, feet encased in 7-star sword boots, hands wearing 10,000 appearances gloves, waist tied with the snake pupil belt, and thunder flowing light wings on the back. Red, green, gold, silver, with Suemo's terrible sense of beauty, there naturally was no beauty here. Everyone's first thought when they would see this was only be, nouveau riche. So rich. It was like those rich country bumpkins plating their teeth in gold, wanting everyone to know. Even Gong Sun Cha and Chun Yuqing felt disdain. But other than that, it evoked deep fright. The thick killing intent spilling from the 3 golden armor guards made one have to directly look and judge the terrifying power contained under this ugly grandeur. Gong Sun Cha and Chun Yuqing also received many talismans, mostly for life-saving and escaping. The 2 of them did not have any fighting power at all. If they had offensive talismans, they wouldn't even be able to use a fraction of its power. However, the husbandry and butchery jade scrolls and life-saving talismans made the 2 smile. Especially Gong Sun Cha. After he received the white medal, it was hard to progress as jade scrolls were hard to find. Other than talismans, Zhuemo had bought large amounts of materials from Hong Yang, especially some 4th-grade materials. However, this furious shopping spree had emptied him of golden crow fire. But Zhuemo did not care. He could gather golden crow fire at any time. It wasn't difficult for him. With this batch of talismans, to say of nothing else, their offensive power had multiplied. He had the confidence to face anyone under Jindan. However, what he felt demotivated by was the golden armor guard seemed born to fight. Compared to himself, they did not seem to need to practice to easily use the talismans to reach their full potentials. Zhuemo gaped. Deeply struck, Zhuemo could only slowly adjust. Like the 7-star sword boots, if he needed to activate the sword formation, he needed to do 7 steps after the other in the correct locations. When the fully armored golden armor guards appeared on the desolate wood reef the next day, they caused a small disturbance. Any shouja that saw them couldn't help but have a stunned expression. Hong Yang didn't dare to stay long, leaving the next day. Pu Yao coldly looked at the gradually shrinking Blackwater Lake. The Blackwater Lake was only a quarter of the size it had been originally. Those human-like monsters were continuously transporting black water from the lake to the altar. The old-fashioned and crude altar was now completely black without any glow. Almost there, Pu Yao muttered. He blew out black air. Those human-like monsters once again landed in the lake water. After that, he waved his sleeve. Large amounts of materials were added to the lake water, many of them ones that Zhuemo had bought from Hong Yang. The black lake water started to bubble, like a boiling pot of porridge. Pu Yao's right palm opened slightly, a red-black flame appeared at the center of his palm, hiss. His hand did not move, but the red-black flame suddenly turned into a fire dragon and charged at the altar. The red-black fire flamed as it surrounded the altar, the flames flickering and enchanting. Pu Yao inhaled deeply, his hands reaching out. His hands changed movements. His slightly closed bloody eye suddenly widened, commanding lightly, "Rise." The altar that was shrouded in fire rose at command and started to fly towards the black lake, only slowly landing as it reached the center of the lake. As it carried the flames that were so red they were almost black, it floated at the center of the lake. Pu Yao's expression was solemn, his eyes focused, not daring to slip, as his hands changed shape again. It was like the fire was poured on oil, spreading across the surface of the black water. In a blink, the entire Blackwater Lake was shrouded in flame. Pu Yao finally released a breath. He reached out his hand, the Blackwater Lake dramatically shrinking until it became palm-sized. Then the mini lake flew into his hand, the surrounding flames silently burning. After being forged for many more months, the nether pool could form. A deep exhaustion came from his body. Pu Yao felt unspeakably tired and sighed lightly inside. The present him was so weak. Zhuemo's excitement had not faded. He had never bought so many talismans before, and so many 4th-grade talismans. The feeling of being so rich was so good. "Not bad, you are at Ningmai." Pu Yao suddenly appeared, he seemed slightly exhausted. "Then let's continue with the earth energy." Zhuemo felt as though a bucket of cold water was poured on his head. Drawing out earth energy. He finally understood what was extreme grief born of extreme joy. It was all right though, this had benefits for him, so Zhuemo comforted himself in this way. Pu Yao's actions were unusually fast. In a blink, the earth energy inside Zhuemo's body was cleanly swept away. Zhuemo dropped to the ground, paralyzed, his body occasionally convulsing. Pu Yao glanced at Zhuemo on the ground. His face showed pleasured, before he disappeared. Zhuemo's mind was blank. It was 4 hours later when his numb mind finally recovered. Why was the feeling this time was stronger than before? Was it a side effect of breaking through to Ningmai? Before, he had assumed that he had gradually adjusted to the pain of earth energy being forcibly drawn out, he hadn't thought the pain would suddenly increase. Without any preparation, Zhuemo instantly became a tragedy. A female stared at the large river in front of her. Behind her was a silent and solemn, well-organized troop. Have you found out? Yes. A middle-aged man said respectfully, the location of stars in daytime is Sky Moon Jie. It was not long ago, about a year ago. 1 year ago, the female sighed lightly. I'm very curious which Darren it is. The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with a fanatical heat. A Darren that could escape from the Yao Forging Tower, it definitely is a Darren that managed to survive the 1,000-year Great War. 1,000-year Great War, a long time ago. Miss. Nothing, I'm just reflecting. The female smiled. Our generation is very lucky. Yes. The middle-aged man couldn't help but be excited. Have there been any suspicious targets? The female asked. Not yet. The middle-aged male gave a realistic plan. We have already found the Jie rivers to Sky Moon Jie. We only need to lock the Jie rivers, and we will have plentiful time to slowly investigate. Alright, it is a stupid method. Yes. Our previous infiltrators were impeded by others, so, nothing, stupid methods are more effective sometimes. The female waved her hand. Yes. Glancing at the Jie River, the female said, depart. Yes. Chapter 202, Territory Intrusion. Zhuemo played with the beast service card in his hand, as a multicolored butterfly flew around him. Chen Yuqing named this multicolored butterfly Rainbow Mark Butterfly. It was the most outstanding ling beast he had ever raised up until now. Zhuemo could feel an extremely weak presence come from the Rainbow Mark Butterfly. The thoughts were very weak, and there were many images that were indistinct. This was a characteristic unique to low-level ling beasts. The higher the grade of the ling beast, the more intelligent it would be. High-level ling beasts were not much different than Xiuzhe. This Rainbow Mark Butterfly was only 3rd grade, and its intelligence just forming. Naturally, there would be many messages that Zhuemo could not understand. However, it could accurately understand Zhuemo's orders and was very obedient. The beast pool had been constructed to make Jingshi. He had never thought that he wouldn't lack for Jingshi now. So the batch of ling butterflies had been turned from a business product into for their own use. The Rainbow Mark Butterfly was the most outstanding of the 3 ling butterflies. It had 3 spells, Rainbow Pupils, Illusion Poison, Poison Change. He ordered the Rainbow Mark Butterfly to cast the Rainbow Pupils. The Rainbow Mark Butterfly lightly fluttered its wings, a rainbow light landed on Zhuemo's body. His eyes were suddenly covered in a layer of faint 5-colored light. Zhuemo felt the world in front of him change. Everything he saw was gray-white. The silently masticating Rainbow Mark Butterfly communicated before Zhuemo understood. The so-called rainbow pupil was to detect poison. It could detect the danger of poisonous items. Zhuemo did not cultivate poison, so the spell was not very useful for him. The only place he could use it was in dan-making. Compared to rainbow pupil, illusion poison was much more interesting. Illusion poison was to use poison to create illusion. Zhuemo was very interested. He instantly thought of the uses for this spell. If he secretly fortified a few places of his formation with illusion poison, then no one would detect it. However, the spell most important to Zhuemo was the 3rd spell, poison change. Rather than calling it a spell, poison change was more like a talent. According to Chen Yucheng's explanation, if he kept on feeding the rainbow mark butterfly poison, especially high-grade poison, when it reached a certain level, it could cause the rainbow mark butterfly to transform and enter a higher grade. As the grade increased, the intelligence of a Ling beast would increase, and there was a possibility of the addition of a spell. It was a pity that Zhuo Mo did not have any interest in poison, much less high-grade poison. Suddenly, Zhuo Mo smacked his forehead. How did he forget that? Didn't his inky black lava white fire have a deadly poison? That was the poison obtained by processing a 4th-grade inky black lotus seed. The grade of the inky black lotus fire was too low. Zhuo Mo had decided to use the golden crow fire as the primary one. It was perfect for him to split the fire apart. The poison for the rainbow mark butterfly, the fire for Lil Pagoda. Even though the grade of the inky black lava white fire was not high, but it was still a fire seed, and quite pure. But before that, Zhuo Mo still needed to do one thing: forge the blue ice sword. The blue icicle crystal could only be forged with a cold fire. The grade of the golden crow fire was higher, but the attribute was not correct. The blue icicle crystal sword billet was about half a chi long, its body shaped like a prism. When the light reflected on the facets of the prism, it was very beautiful. 3 days later, the blue ice sword took form. The entire body was like a blue icicle, the tip of the sword extremely sharp. The body of the sword was made out of countless facets. As it floated in the air, a mist naturally formed around the sword. Zhuo Mo's mind moved. Pew! The blue ice sword entered the ground, only leaving behind a sword-shaped hole. There was a circle of clear ice cracks around the hole. It could be seen just how cold it was. Zhuo Mo's forging skill was not high and the blue ice crystal was just lower 4th grade. The grade of the inky black lava white fire was also too low. He had barely managed to forge a 4th grade flying sword. He didn't care that much. The 5 essence sword set emphasized the cooperation between the different qualities of the flying swords. Taking apart the inky black lava white fire, however, had taken Zhuo Mo quite a bit of effort. The poison from the inky black lotus had long ago merged into the flame. Zhuo Mo did not have the strength at his cultivation level to take it apart. However, he thought of a clever solution: let Lil Pagoda deconstruct it. The present Lil Pagoda only needed a bit to break through to 4th grade, its control greatly increased. It could control how to decompose what was put into it. The inky black lava white fire was quickly taken apart. The inky black lotus poison was separated out. What surprised Zhuo Mo was that this ball of inky black lotus poison was an invisible substance. When he used Ling power to carefully surround this deadly poison, he was instantly alarmed. His Ling power was quickly consumed. As expected from a 4th grade inky black lotus poison. This discovery made him hesitate. Could the rainbow mark butterfly tolerate such a strong poison? But quickly, he could feel the rainbow mark butterfly's anticipation and joy. The rainbow mark butterfly lightly flapped its multicolored wings, and a circle of light surrounded the poison. The ring of light continuously shrunk until it disappeared. Zhuo Mo was slightly disappointed. A line of black had appeared on the wings of the rainbow mark butterfly, but there was no other change. Lil Pagoda absorbed the fire seed, but there were no signs of another breakthrough. Alright, he could not be too greedy, Zhuo Mo mumbled. He started to absorb the golden crow fire. The atmosphere of the desolate wood reef was nervous and fretful. Everyone's face was slightly heavy. A few days ago, several Xiuzha had escaped from the Jie River. They had encountered a group of very strong Xiuzha. That group killed everyone they saw. Many Xiuzha didn't even have the time to flee before they were killed. Instantly, the desolate wood reef became tense. These injured Xiuzha had no strength to fly over the endless ocean, and could only stay on the desolate wood reef. Those Xiuzha that had originally planned to travel to Little Mountain Jie through the Jie River didn't dare to move recklessly, and waited to see what would happen. The number of Shouja on the desolate wood reef increased, but no one dared to cause a disturbance. Other than the intimidation of the 3 golden armor guards, they also understood, if there really was a powerful enemy, the formation on the island was their strongest defense. Without the beast pool, Chen Yucheng was idle. His face was full of worry. There's more than 600 Shouja on the island, and more than 20 Ningmai. If something happens, that wouldn't be good. Shi Xiang is also in seclusion, what are you afraid of? Gong Sun Cha was unconcerned and said heartlessly, worst case, we can just flee. What do you think the people in the Jia River are? Killing everyone they see. They really have no regard for the law. Chen Yucheng was righteously indignant. Gong Sun Cha teased the gray butterfly and said lazily, who knows, probably a group of people who couldn't think things through. Suddenly, the crowd on the island shifted. The two instantly stopped what they were doing and stood up. Far away in the sky, there were many black dots. Chen Yucheng inhaled sharply, his face pale, voice trembling as he pointed at the black dots in the sky. What is that? Gong Sun Cha also was motionless at his spot with a shocked expression. The dense crowd of black dots flew at the desolate wood reef at astonishing speed like a black cloud rolling over the sky. With a suffocating presence, they silently moved to a distance 20 li from the desolate wood reef. Yao Ma, someone trembled out those 2 words. It was as though a spark had been thrown into a pot of oil. The deathly silent desolate wood reef suddenly exploded. Yao Ma, Chen Yucheng felt his legs sore and weak, dropping to the ground. There were hints of terror in Gong Sun Cha's eyes, but the terror was quickly changed to curiosity. Was this Yao Ma? It wasn't just him that had this thought. In reality, this thought uncontrollably flashed across many people's minds on the desolate wood reef. Other than the somewhat strange dark green skin, the Yao Ma in the sky didn't seem much different than Shouja. On their foreheads, they all had a piece of crystal, the color and shape varied. Their bodies were mostly slender and were very handsome regardless of sex. This is Yao Ma. Wow! Gong Sun Cha scared. He rubbed his chin, oh, almost as handsome as me, that's not very good. However, he quickly became speechless. The Yao Ma in the sky quickly moved forward 3 li. Everyone was intimidated. People now found that the dark green-skinned Yao Ma in the sky were in well-organized ranks that seemed to have been measured with a ruler. During the flying process, the entire troop did not have any hint of disorder, they were so synchronized that it was frightening. When several dozen people were so, everyone would find it to be nothing, but when thousands of people were so organized, an invisible pressure formed. It was as if there was 1,000 catty rock on everyone's chest. All the noise stopped, like someone had cut their throats. Really the elite. Gong Sun Cha's eyes glowed as he muttered. He then looked in sympathy at the panicking Shouja on the island, and couldn't help but sigh, and there go the rabble. The contrast between the 2 sides was too strong. Of the thousands of people on the other side, no one was speaking, it was deathly silent. The Shouja on the island was panicking like a crowd of headless chickens. Prepare to run for your life, Gong Sun Cha said to Chen Yucheng. What about Shi Xiang? Chen Yucheng asked, his expression blank. Find him. Gong Sun Cha said. I'm here. At some unknown time, Zhuo Mo appeared behind the 2 of them. Escape, Gong Sun Cha spread his hands at Zhuo Mo grimaced. He hadn't thought that he would encounter this just after he came out of seclusion. He knew that Gong Sun Cha was right. Even though the island had 600 Shouja, it was just a grab bag of random cultivators. Looking at the military troop that was so terrifyingly organized, a hint of helplessness rose in Zhuo Mo's heart. The difference in power was not something a formation could bridge. Is it really Yao Ma? Chen Yucheng was still somewhat lost. Gong Sun Cha looked in curiosity at Zhuo Mo, and, Yao, not Mo, Zhuo Mo nodded, mostly Ghost Attendant Yao and some Night Stalk Yao. Ghost Attendant Yao? Night Stalk Yao? Gong Sun Cha had an interested expression. To them, Yao Ma was a very distant monster. The most basic Yao are called Little Yao, about our Lianqi. The next level is Ghost Attendant Yao, like our Zhuji. The Night Stalk Yao are equivalent to our Ningmai, Zhuo Mo explained simply. That scared me. Then can't we hold this place? Chen Yuqing said excitedly. Gong Sun Cha shook his head but didn't speak. Zhuo Mo grimaced, probably not. Yao Ma emphasize killing and have endured fighting since they were born. They live more harshly than we do. Also, you can also see their organization. Our side only has scattered soldiers and heroes, we are not a match. Then what do we do? Chen Yucheng's little face became pale again. Flee. Zhuo Mo gritted his teeth and said hatefully. His heart was filled with sorrow. The good days of sitting and taking in money had reached an end. Chapter 203 Date Siege Ship, Miss, the position of this island is extremely good, it is perfect for guarding the Jie River, the middle-aged man said respectfully. Is that the formation of a shouja? The female did not reply. She was staring at the hoop of light that was like a sun above the island. Yes, Mississippi. He opened his mouth, but perceptibly swallowed his words. Oh. The female said faintly, check first if there is any suspicious targets among them. If not, push them out. Yes. The middle-aged man instantly complied. You really are kind. A male beside the female said in a sarcastic tone. He was like a crane among the chickens, his entire person like a burning flame, a flame-red crystal on his forehead. Sweeping a glance at the rebellious male, the female was calm. Yan Feng, shut your mouth. Yan Feng smirked. The shouja on this island are just rabble. Give me 500 troops, and I can sweep them clean. If you let them go, isn't it letting them off easy? The female was not moved. Our job is to find someone. Yan Feng suddenly became excited. Mu Shi, you forget that they are shouja. Our enemy. The more we kill, the less enemies we have. Mu Shi's tone became cold. Sir Yan Feng, please watch your tone. You are speaking to your direct commander. If you overstep again, you will be treated according to military law. Yan Feng was so angry fire came out of his eyes. The last bit of intelligence allowed him to keep his control. He knew the woman in front of him would do as she said. The composition of Yao was extremely complex. There were many species. Different than the reproduction of humans, Yao were born from nature, formed from the Ling energy of the world. Like Mu Shi, she came from the largest clan of Yao, the Wood clan. They were all formed from flora. Yan Feng came out of desolate western mountain sky fire branch. The reproduction of the fire clan was not as prosperous of the Wood clan. They did not have many Yao, but they were natural fighters, their personality explosive and brave. The Wood, Fire, Gold, Water, and Earth clans were the 5 largest clans of the Yao, but there were other little clans as many as sand. Due to the abundance of Yao, every decade, some small clans would be born. Due to this, Yao society was very accepting and very transparent. This type of transparent and complete government was like an enormous squid that reached its tentacles into every corner. It was also this governance that had born from countless great minds and strong elders that allowed the Yao to quickly recover. For example, Mu Shi was the most accomplished of the youths of the Wood clan. Even though her cultivation was not outstanding, but she had started her duties very early. Yan Feng rarely found an opponent that could match his offensive power and was even stronger than Mu Shi, but due to his infighting within the ranks, he was punished and placed under Mu Shi's command. In reality, the two once had been classmates, but they had always been at odds. Zhuo Mo found he actually wasn't nervous. He was slightly surprised. It seemed that fighting and killing really hardened people. However, Pu Yao's words instantly made him nervous. They have come to find you. Find me? Zhuo Mo gaped. Stars in daytime, you alerted them. Pu Yao was very calm. This made the nervousness in Zhuo-Mo's heart decrease. Stars in daytime, what does it do? Zhuo-Mo asked a question that had been hidden in his heart for a long time. Not much. Some strong Yao-mo would try to borrow the power of the stars to recover from serious wounds, and this forms the stars in daytime. Pu Yao said. It was you. Pu Yao smiled coldly, none of my business. He then frowned. But these things are slightly irritating. Aren't you a Yao? Should you be of the same kind as them? Zhuo-Mo couldn't really grasp Pu Yao's attitude. However, if it wasn't Pu Yao, who was it? Was it the gravestone? Pu Yao did not like Xiuzhe. Zhuo-Mo could understand this, but he could not understand that Pu Yao didn't even like the Yao. They don't have any connection to me. Pu Yao's face was cold. Zhuo-Mo saw that Pu Yao didn't seem to want to mention this matter, and perceptively changed the topic. Do you have any good suggestions? Your luck seems pretty good. The arrivals are the Wood clan. Pu Yao glanced at the organized ranks of Yao troops in the sky. They don't like fighting. Wood clan? Zhuo-Mo was very curious. Zhuo-Mo might have openly spoke about the little Yao before, but that was buying and selling at the same time. Zhuo-Mo was very unfamiliar with Yao-mo. Seeing that he could not avoid a conflict with the Yao-mo, it was beneficial for him to know a bit more. A large clan, but it has many cadet branches. Formed from flora. Pu Yao introduced shortly. Oh, Zhuo-Mo nodded, not understanding. What was formed from flora? But he knew that Pu Yao definitely did not have the patience to explain. Suddenly, Zhuo-Mo detected a strong consciousness ripple. He couldn't help but jump. Such a strong consciousness. The consciousness ripple came from the other side and swept the sky above the entire desolate wood reef. Before this, Zhuo-Mo had been very confident in his consciousness. He had almost never encountered a Xiuzhe who had a stronger consciousness than he did. But the strength of this consciousness was far above his. They are searching for you. Such a pity, just Night Stalk Yao, they believe they have the skill. Pu Yao smirked. He seemed to understand what Zhuo-Mo was thinking. It's very normal. They only cultivate the consciousness, it isn't something a half-ass like you can compare to. Pu Yao's interest was unknowingly stirred. Yao cultivate the consciousness so the division for spiritual power is much finer than the Xiuzhe. Star fire, manifestation, spirit seed, Yin spirit, Yao mansion, 6 revolutions, and sky channels. You are just at manifestation. Among them, the most powerful have finished spirit seed. Even though their spirit is weak, but it can easy to kill you. Manifestation. When the starfire is full, it manifests, seed born in the heart to become planted in the spirit births the Yin spirit opens the Yao mansion, spiritual manifestation. Oh, your leaf hand is a manifestation. The consciousness can become tangible? Zhuo-Mo asked. Of course, it's so simple, do you really need to think about it? Pu Yao's face was full of disdain. However, you just entered manifestation, you're very far off from spirit seed. What is called seed born in the heart? Zhuo-Mo couldn't help but ask, his head bloated. You'll know when it is time. Pu Yao had used up his patience. Then now. Solve it yourself. Pu Yao said impatiently before disappearing. They are going to attack. Gong Sun Cha pulled Zhuo-Mo back. The attacking posture of the other size was so obvious even an idiot could see. Zhuo-Mo couldn't help but become nervous. Pulling Gong Sun Cha and Chen Yucheng, he pushed his voice low, prepare to escape. Where? Chen Yucheng's face was puzzled. Gong Sun Cha suddenly opened his mouth, towards the Jie River. The Jie River? Little Mountain Jie. Zhuo-Mo was very surprised, isn't that heading for the net? The endless ocean is vast and borderless. We need to fly multiple months to see land, there is no place to hide. Gong Sun Cha was very calm, a hint of heat in his eyes. When it's time, these people will all scatter. We'll go the opposite way and break through. They definitely wouldn't have thought of it. They just came from Little Mountain Jia. Little Mountain Jia definitely has fallen. If we go to Little Mountain Jia, we have no escape. Chen Yucheng was frightened by Gong Sun Cha's suggestion, so frightened he woke up. This is not certain. Gong Sun Cha shook his head. If Little Mountain Jia has fallen, what would come definitely wouldn't just be this little amount of Yao. This is a little. Chen Yucheng pointed at the organized and solemn Yao army in the sky, and shouted. To us, it seems like a lot. But if they want to attack Sky Moon Jia, it is far too few, Gong Sun Cha said quickly. Suemo instantly reacted. You mean they are a little troop that snuck in? Possible. Gong Sun Cha said. What did they sneak in for? I don't know, they probably have a target. Suemo suddenly thought of what Puyao had said. Did these people really come to find him? No, to find the Yaoma of the stars in daytime. He continued to weigh the choices in his heart. Truthfully, Gong Sun Cha's suggestion was very dangerous. No, it was extremely dangerous. But Suemo felt that the success of that suggestion was very likely. From this, it could be seen that he was in support of Gong Sun Cha's suggestion. Chose which one? He was just a little Xiuzhe that had just broken through to Ningmai and hadn't seen much. Facing a choice that would determine life and death, he couldn't help but hesitate. Yet the other didn't give the time to hesitate. The sky above the other side's troop was suddenly dark. Strong Ling power ripples were like a harsh wind that swept past. Damn it! Suemo jumped in fright. The other side was going to attack. The Ling power ripples passing through the air were the same as Yang Fiend hard lightning, but the terrifying presence it gave off was hundreds of times stronger. He didn't doubt that their attack would flatten all of Desolate Wood Reef. If he didn't run now, when could he run? He grabbed Gong Sun Cha and Chen Yucheng, not caring for anything else, and suddenly jumped into the water. A gold light flashed, and the Buddha sound hoop landed in Zuomo's bosom, the presence of the formation on the Desolate Wood Reef weakening. The Desolate Wood Reef instantly exploded. He ran. Zuomo ran. Run! Everyone, run! At this time, with a large sound, a bolt of lightning twisted and struck the Desolate Wood Reef. Dong! A muffled sound hit everyone's heart. Those Xiuzhe with weak cultivations bled from their mouths and nose. Everyone couldn't help but turn their head. The Desolate Wood Reef with its layers of formations was like paper in front of the lightning, cleanly wiped out. More than 10 of the Xiuzhe that moved too slowly were swept by the after ripples and torn to countless pieces, not even having the time shout before their souls were destroyed. In the ocean, Zuomo didn't have it good either. The blood inside his body was roiling, his Ling power almost spiraled out of control. Gong Sun Cha and Chen Yucheng's faces were pale, the power of the one attack was so powerful that it even passed into the ocean. At the border of life and death, Zuomo became calm. A date seed appeared on his hand, a talisman ship was carved on it. This date seed ship had been taken from Nan Mingzi's body. However, it required too much Ling power, so he hadn't found out how to use it. In seclusion this time, after finishing forging the 5 essence sword set, Zuomo had spent a lot of effort on the talismans that he did not understand. He hadn't expected that he found some methods, and including this date seed boat. At this time, he didn't dare to hold anything back, the Ling power in his body furiously flooding towards the date seed boat. A little date red wooden boat with an old aura appeared in front of everyone. Zuomo's hand moved. They felt the scene in front of them blur and then they were inside the ship. The ship was dry and clean. The water outside the ship seemed to be stopped by an invisible power, unable to enter. Zuomo hurriedly directed the date seed ship to sink to the bottom. The thick water could stop the search from the other's consciousness. If they could flee to a place that the other could not detect them, they would be temporarily safe. Chapter 204 Improvement. The date siege ship submerged at a fast rate. In a blink, it had reached 10 li under the surface. Through the windows on the ship, the outside was pitch black. The surroundings were silent, the noise from the outside was completely blocked. Everyone finally relaxed. The Yao army used one attack to destroy any of the hopes they had left. Silly Bird shook the water off. She looked like a chicken in soup broth, with all of the drooping features. Even the proud Silly Bird was scared half to death by the hard lightning that had come from the sky and became much more docile. When Zuemo had come out of seclusion, he had taken Silly Bird and the others with him. Chun Yuqing collapsed on the ground, heaving. By comparison, Gong Sun Cha was much more composed, but there was still a hint of fear lingering in his eyes. Of everyone, the only ones that could truly maintain their calm were the 3 golden armor guards. As usual, they held their swords and stood like statues. Zuemo had recovered from the nervousness. Seeing everyone was complete and whole, his mood became much better. Just having escaped death, no one in the ship had any interest in talking, all of them catching their breaths and calming their minds. After a while, Zuemo found his mind had relaxed greatly and stood up, and began inspecting the date siege ship. During his seclusion, even though he had figured out how to activate the date siege ship, but he hadn't studied it. Right now, the date siege ship was their life-saving talisman, he didn't dare to leave it up to chance. He walked around the cabin of the ship, closely inspecting it. Chun Yuqing and Gong Sun Cha saw his actions and perceptively chose not to speak. This was. Zuemo carefully inspected the formations carved on the date siege ship and was very shocked. A Jingshi talisman. The date siege ship was a 4th-grade talisman, and it was even a rare Jingshi talisman. Jingshi talismans were talismans that could use Jingshi as a source of power. Those were usually large-sized talismans. The 1,000-wing boat that Zuemo had seen in Dongfu was a classical example of a Jingshi talisman. Historically, only large sect would forge Jingshi talismans. The materials that were needed were not something a normal shouja could afford. There were some Jingshi talismans for single-person use but not many. Compared to the Ling power inside Jingshi, the Ling power inside shouja was much purer and easier to control. This date siege ship was a Jingshi talisman. It could carry 100 shouja, able to fly either in air or in the water. Zuemo's interest was stirred up. This was the first time he had seen a Jingshi talisman. He instantly started to study the formations on the ship. Jingshi talismans were talismans where formations were used most purely. Shouja only had to make some simple commands, and it could work on its own. In a short period of time, he found the locations to put in Jingshi. The cabin was empty, and did not even have tables or chairs. The place to insert the Jingshi was on the ceiling. The ceiling of the cabin had a depiction of the Big Dipper, the 7 stars connected. Each star was the place to put in Jingshi. Zuemo took out 7 3rd-grade Jingshi from his ring to insert in the positions of the Big Dipper. When he shoved the last piece of Jingshi in, everyone felt the cabin light up, a date-colored red light emanated from the ship. Wow, Jingshi talisman. Gong Sun Cha was surprised. A Jingshi talisman that I got from Nanming Zi. Zuemo stared at the formations on the ship, calculating inside without turning his head to answer. Through the consciousness leaf hand, he could clearly see the seals running through the ship. The more he saw, the more admiration he had. Before this, he had never seen a Jingshi talisman before, so he never had seen Jingshi talisman formations before. The formations were like a gigantic mesh going through the entire date siege ship like they were the channels of the ship. Ling power flowed out from the 7 Jingshi into the channels and activated the formation. He quickly found the differences between the date siege ship and the talismans he had studied before. The Ling power that came out of the Jingshi was very steady. Normal talismans consumed the Ling power of shouja, the Ling power would have a variety of changes and would not be so steady. There were advantages and disadvantages to both methods. Jingshi talismans did not consume the Ling power of the shouja. As long as there was Jingshi, it could keep working. The disadvantage was that its uses were set, and it was less flexible to adjusting to sudden changes. Normal talismans were the exact opposite. Due to consuming the ling power of the Xiuzhe, it could not compare in how long Jingshi talismans could be used. However, they could do many things and were very good at adjusting to sudden changes. Zhuo Mo's heart suddenly moved. If the two advantages could be put together, that would be great. Once the idea popped up into his head, it could not be erased. After studying for a while, he started to actually ponder if the flash of inspiration he had was realistic or not. The space inside the date seed ship was enough for him to set up large amounts of formations. The smaller the space was, the harder it was to set up formations. Forging experts could set down multiple formations in a flying sword the size of a finger. Zhuo Mo was far from reaching that level. Space was very important for him. The bigger the ship was, the easier it was for him to make modifications. There were a total of 3 formations on the date seed ship. One was a space formation, one was a ling shield formation, the last was a water movement formation. Zhuo Mo paid more attention to the ling shield formation. Its defensive ability was average. He decided to change the micro-light formation to a 7 bright micro-light formation. Zhuo Mo only needed to put 7 bright light formation into the micro-light formation, and the defensive power of the shield would increase by at least 50%. This technique of interlocking child formations was something he had comprehended from the sky ring moon chime formation. The structure of the bright light formation was simple and easy to carve, so Zhuo Mo quickly finished the 7 bright micro-light formation. The ling shield over the ship gradually changed, the light becoming more intense and the shield thicker than it had been before. Zhuo Mo nodded in satisfaction. It seems his skill in making formations had improved once again. Before, this wouldn't have been so simple. Strengthening the ling shield mean that the consumption of ling power would increase correspondingly. However, Zhuo Mo did not worry about this. Right now, he lacked for everything except Jingshi. Gu has lots of Jingshi. He suddenly hit his head. Right, how did he forget his greatest advantage? Chen Yucheng and Gong Sun Cha were frightened by Zhuo Mo's action. The two exchanged looks of puzzlement. Jingshi. Right now, he had piles of Jingshi. Before, he had been thinking of carving an offensive formation on the ship that could be controlled by a person. That way, they didn't need to leave the ship, but they could fight against their enemies. When Zhuo Mo realized his advantage, he suddenly reacted. He had made a mistake. Since it was hard to control Jingshi talismans precisely, rather than think of ways to increase the control over it, it was better to give the talisman a formation that did not need to be controlled, like a cloud lightning net. He only needed it to protect the ship. As to increasing the maneuverability of the Jingshi talisman, he could slowly study it. The high consumption of the cloud electrical lightning net was nothing for Zhuo Mo, who wanted to keep his life. The more he thought, the cleverer he found the idea. Even though there were still big gaps, but it was the most realistic plan at present. No matter what, his little life came first. He took out a large pile of materials and started to carve formations inside the cabin. What is Xixiang doing? Chen Yucheng asked. Gong Sun Cha looked over. I don't understand, but he seems to be setting up formations. We should run, not setting up formations now. Chen Yucheng said hurriedly. I don't know, Gong Sun Cha was also puzzled. He could see what Xixiang was generally doing. Even though he didn't know why Xixiang was putting up formations now, but he believed in Xixiang's judgment. Currently, the only thing he was so shocked by was the fact that Xixiang seemed to be playing with the Jingshi talisman. Could Xixiang modify Jingshi talismans? He knew it was much harder to modify talismans than to remake them. After a talisman was successfully forged, it was one complete entity and had reached an equilibrium. Modifying was equivalent to first breaking the equilibrium and then setting a new equilibrium. Had Xiang's skills with formations reached such a level? The golden armor guards stood silently. Silly Bird had recovered from the fright, raising her bird head and stepping her unique bird walk. Suemo was very careful. Bright light formation was only an enhancing formation, and did not have much effect on the equilibrium of the talisman. However, cloud lightning net was a third-grade formation. It was very strong and needed large amounts of Ling power. Suemo needed to add a few more channels to conduct Ling power to satisfy the cloud lightning net. The cloud lightning net was not difficult for Suemo. The difficulty laid in setting the seals to channel the Ling power. The formations on the date seed boat before had been very complete. In order to add more seals to increase Ling power pathways, he needed to change the entire structure. This was the most difficult part. If he wasn't careful, he could most likely cause the Ling power pathways to intersect and then collapse. Suemo was very clear about this, so he continuously modeled it in his head before proceeding. 4 hours later, he finally thought it through and started to move. What he did first was increase the number of Jingshi. The Ling power expenditure of cloud lightning net was very large. 7 pieces of Jingshi was not enough to satisfy its needs. Suemo added another 21 pieces of Jingshi. On the ceiling of the ship cabin, 28 stars shone. To save his life, Suemo did not care how much Jingshi he had to spend. Right after, he started to set up the cloud lightning net, and added more Ling power channeling seals. This modification took 12 hours. When he finished, he was exhausted. However, he finally finished. Hiss hiss. Sounds came from the date red Ling shield. Immediately after, countless fine lines of miniature lightning appeared on the surface of the Ling shield, swimming like little snakes. Fine lightning appeared at astounding speed and gathered. In the blink of an eye, a net appeared on the Ling shield. A net constructed of arm-thick lightning. It was like a silver net had covered all of the date seed ship. The lightning net slightly trembled, the sound slowly weakening until the hisses had disappeared. What was wondrous was that, even though they were in the water, the lightning net on the Ling shield showed no signs of dissipating, but was as dense as any other object, silently covering the Ling shield. The presence of the date seed ship instantly changed. Chapter 205 War Chess, Where are we heading? Chen Yuqing asked uncertainly. Jie River. Gong Sun Cha's face was relaxed, half lying on the bottom of the cabin, relaxed and idle. How do you know? Chen Yuqing looked worriedly at Suemo Shixiang, who was still working on the date seed ship. Shixiang had been working for several hours and showed no signs of stopping. Ha! Shixiang might look careful and conservative, but if he's pressured, he's vicious and decisive. Gong Sun Cha said unconcernedly. What happens if Little Mountain Jie has been taken by the Yaoma? Chen Yucheng's face was slightly pale. The strong offensive power of the Yao army had almost destroyed his soul. No way about it. It's all up to luck. Gong Sun Cha stretched out his waist, and laid down completely. With a hiss, a silver light suddenly flashed outside the ship. Just having laid down, Gong Sun Cha instantly sat up, eyes looking outside. When he saw the lightning outside the Ling shield, he first stilled, and then had joy on his face. Chen Yucheng, who was in a fragile state of mind, was half scared to death by the noise. How's the power of that thing? Gong Sun Cha pointed outside the ship, and asked Suemo, who had finally stopped and walked over. Better than nothing. Suemo sat down in exhaustion. My skill in formations isn't enough. This lightning net doesn't have any dead ends, but it is way too loose. Don't have high hopes about the power. Gong Sun Cha nodded, and then asked, how far have we traveled? This boat goes 100 li every 2 hours, how long has it been? 12 hours. Then it's 600 li, Suemo said. Seems no one has chased after us. I wonder what this Yao army is looking for. This is an unexpected calamity. Chen Yuqing sighed. Suemo naturally could not say the Yao army was searching for him, but seeing Chen Yucheng's worried expression, he knew this docile person had been frightened too deeply today, and hurried to comfort him. The two Shidi had two completely different personalities. Chen Yucheng was docile, and somewhat lacking in courage, only interested in animals. Gong Sun Cha was the exact opposite. He was cunning and daring, calm when there was trouble, and had a devious and dark character. He didn't have much interest in butchering. Follow the flow. Gong Sun Cha inserted and then raised his delicate face, his eyes shining. Shixiang, there's nothing to do now. Why don't you get them to practice their cooperation? Zuemo understood that Gong Sun Cha meant the 3 golden armor guards. Cooperation. Gong Sun Cha's words reminded him. The blow that the Yao army had given them was too strong. The troops that were so organized they were almost insane, so neat that it seemed almost impossible, and that lightning attack that they couldn't even hold their heads up against. Zuemo felt that he wouldn't forget it in his life. The shock and panic of the Xiuzha was the perfect definition of the word rabble. Every time he thought of it, he felt coldness seep uncontrollably from his heart. The Yao army gave all the Xiuzha on the desolate wood reef a lesson. Even the stupidest person could see the difference between the two, and could feel the difference in power. Zuemo suddenly had a feeling that the era of individual power was nearing its end. However, he quickly threw the problem to the back of his mind. A big problem like an era ending, it wasn't something a little Ningmai like him could relate to. But he agreed greatly with Gong Sun Cha's suggestion. However, while he agreed, how to accomplish it was the true problem. I don't know how. We can slowly try. Gong Sun Cha's decisive tone made Zuemo look at him. He grinned. It's better than losing our lives. For some reason, Zuemo felt Gong Sun Shidi's delicate face was like the raised head of a snake, vicious and cold. But when he turned his eyes towards Gong Sun, Shidi's smile was so sunny and timid that Zuemo felt he was mistaken. Okay. He nodded. Before having seen the Yao army, Zuemo might have found it extraneous, but right now he didn't hesitate. This was useful. Very useful. For him, starting from a blank slate wasn't a new experience. Before, as long as he could make Jingshi, he would work with all his effort. Now, Zuemo discovered that his little life was more important. His belief suddenly turned, anything that could save his little life, he would definitely put everything in. The two crowded together and started to discuss. Both were greenhorns, the mood was vibrant, but quickly, the discussion reached a standoff. Words had no proof, especially when the two had divergent views, no one could persuade the other. At this time, Gong Sun Cha did not care Zuemo was his Shixiang. His face was flushed as he argued, his expression ferocious, he no longer looked like a weak and bashful young master. If we each have a troop and can really fight, that would be nice. Zuemo sighed, then who is right, it naturally can be seen. Yes. Gong Sun Cha's face was also bitter, holding his head and sighing. Talking soldiers on paper, it is useless. A voice suddenly came inside Zuemo's mind. Want to try? I've got a way. Pu Yao suddenly came out. What way? Zuemo's mind became alert. Pu Yao might like to boast, but he occasionally had some real skill. Pu Yao looked at him. Actually, this kind of thing has been played since a long time ago, like Seal Soldier Battle Board, like puppet chess. What is that? Hearing those two new terms, Zuemo couldn't help but be curious. It is a kind of war chess. War chess. There's many ways to play, like one-on-one, or many against many. Pu Yao seemed to suddenly sink into his memories, refocusing after a while. I remember it was quite fashionable back then. You have those? Zuemo looked suspiciously at Pu Yao. No. Pu Yao shook his head. The most important part is the rules. It is very easy to make them. He threw a ball of light at Zuemo. Here, these are the rules for all kinds of war chess games that I played before, and how to make them. When did you become this kind? Zuemo's gaze became even more suspicious, but his hands were not slow at all, rapidly catching the ball of light. I don't want you to die this quickly. Pu Yao looked scornfully at Zhuo Mo before disappearing. The date seed ship silently slid along the bottom in the pitch-black water. For everyone, this was a very long period of boredom. Chen Yuqing seemed to be accustomed to this kind of boredom. He continued to busy himself in his experiments. Zhuo Mo occasionally took out the golden crow fire. He seemed to be forging something. So boring. Gong Sun Cha yawned. He seemed to be the only person that didn't have anything to do. He had thought about teasing Silly Bird to relieve his boredom, but Silly Bird ignored him, proudly strutting her bird walk in the cabin. Lil Black climbed around the cabin without exhaustion. Lil Pagoda floated in the air, spinning in its spot. The 3 golden armor guards were like 3 statues, not having moved a finger in days. Originally, Gong Sun Cha had been worried they might meet some water element ling beasts. In the legends, there were many terrifying ling beasts in the endless ocean. However, their luck seemed to be exceptional and they traveled smoothly. But these days were really so bland. Done, Zhuo Mo suddenly stated, making Gong Sun Cha jump in fright. He crowded over. What's done? What is this? Chess. Something called a war chess, Zhuo Mo said uncertainly. I don't know if I made it correctly. Come, let's try. Gong Sun Cha, so bored he had almost fallen asleep, instantly jumped up. Okay. Zhuo Mo took out a jade scroll, recording down some of the rules that Pu Yao gave him and threw it to Gong Sun Cha. Interesting. Gong Sun Cha took the jade scroll. After a look, he became alert. Zhuo Mo also started to read the rules. Reading it in detail, he was instantly frightened. Fuck. This was that complicated? The dense paragraphs of rules made his head feel numb. He heard Gong Sun Cha's voice full of enthusiasm. This bit is interesting, yes, oh, I understand. Zhuo Mo could only force himself to keep reading. An hour later, when Zhuo Mo's eyes were unfocused and his brain faint, he suddenly heard Gong Sun Cha say, so interesting, so interesting. It's really too interesting. Zhuo Mo raised his head in shock. He saw Gong Sun Cha look excitedly at him, and say, let's begin. If I know there was something as fun as this, I wouldn't have learned how to butcher. What Zhuo Mo forged was puppet chess. It was simpler. The size of the Seal Soldier battle board was bigger, requiring better skill at forging, and had more complex rules. Basically, puppet chess was made from a set of little illusions. In a circle 1 zhang wide, miniature mountains and rivers were perfectly depicted. There were even clouds in the sky that slowly changed. Suddenly, these white clouds started to rain. Under the rain, the water in the river suddenly grew. A shouja wearing Taoist robes suddenly charged into the sky from the river, slowly scanned the surroundings. Seeing there was not anything, the person went back into the river. Exquisite. Truly too exquisite. Gong Sun Cha gaped, his eyes changing from excited to scorching. Zhuo Mo was also shocked by such exquisiteness. Even though he had made it from beginning to end, but he had never thought of the result of the end product. This wasn't some chess board, it was like a complete little world. Everything inside would naturally cycle on their own. So wondrous. Zhuo Mo's mind became blank. Quick, how to play? Gong Sun Cha urged. Zhuo Mo refocused and handed him a piece of 3rd grade Black Days crystal. Put your mind into it. He also took up a piece of Black Days crystal and flooded it with his consciousness. He felt the scenery in front of his eyes change, and he seemed to be looking from the sky. His eyes unconsciously looked down. Yao. 9 Yao were arranged in an organized square. He could clearly feel the connection between him and the 9 Yao. He was even able to use the eyes of any of the Yao to see everything in the surroundings. At the same time, the information of the 9 Yao flowed through his mind. His mind moved, and a Yao suddenly stepped 3 paces forward, leaving the troop. He instantly controlled it to do many strange and awkward poses. So interesting. Very interesting. Zhuemo was in shock. Chapter 206. What was that? Zhuemo was very depressed. In the first 2 matches, he had won. The 3rd round was tied. They also tied for the 4th and 5th. After the 5th round, he never won again. In total, they had battled for 10 matches. 5 losses, 3 ties, and 2 wins. That wasn't a good result. The more they played, the greater the gap between them became. He was very surprised. Gongsun Shidi, who looked shy and weak, was very aggressive. In the last few matches, not soon after the match had started, Zhuemo was killed off. Zhuemo lost so badly that even Pu Yao couldn't keep looking. I'll go. Pu Yao jumped out, took over control, and started to fight against Gongsun Cha. Gongsun Cha was instantly obliterated. The strong ability to command that Pu Yao displayed made Zhuemo intoxicated. Pu Yao, who seemed quite feminine, was extremely aggressive when he was in command. You guys can slowly torture yourselves. Gu will play on Ji's own. Zhuemo muttered inside. This person and this Yao were natural-born militants. In other words, they were born for the role. Especially when he saw the expressions of the person and the Yao, he shuddered. The light flashed in Pu Yao's bloody pupil, a cruel smirk on the corner of his mouth, his actions like lightning. Gongsun Shidi, after being depressively killed for 20-something matches, his expression wasn't the least bit dejected. His face was like a plum blossom, slightly flushed, the light in his eyes continuously flickering. He was more excited the more he fought. These 2 perverts. Zhuemo had long known of Pu Yao's perverseness. He hadn't thought Gongsun Shidi would also be so perverse when he played war chess. Did everyone's heart have a perverse chord? Shaking his head, Zhuemo smacked his lips. All the war chess games that Pu Yao gave were for commanders, and were all Yama. Xiuzhe, if they were not the enemy, they were cannon fodder. That made him very unaccustomed to it. Okay, who made it so that they were war chess games for Yama? Zhuemo completely threw the last thought behind his head. He decided to continue his own cultivation. Speaking of cultivation, he was studying formations. He had seen many kinds of formations already. The soul-tethered talisman that was so rare, Jingshi talismans, he had all that. Adding on the aid of his consciousness, his comprehension of formations was much deeper than normal Xiuzhe. He had many skills, he cultivated Ling power, spiritual power, and also body cultivation on the side. He also knew many spells. Such variety was not a good quality. In reality, all of these were not his true cultivation path. His primary cultivation was formations. The direction of this originated in Pu Yao's statement, the core of all spells is formations. From the uncertainty in the beginning, to the gradual understanding, to the rock-hard determination of present, Zhuemo had never stopped studying. Even though he was far from the level Pu Yao had spoken of, he was full of confidence in himself. For example, the micro-formations in dan-making were the products of his continuous investigations. He didn't know if anyone else studied them, but the micro-formations had brought enormous profit for him. Without the micro-formations, there was no golden crow fire. There were many paths to increasing one's strength, but not every path was suited for him. Since people were skilled at commanding, then this matter will be given to those skilled in that. It was the wisest choice for him to do what he was most skilled in. He put his attention back on the date seed ship. In his view, there was a lot of room for modifications, especially to Zhuemo, who was skilled in micro-formations. As it was related to his life, he had to think hard. In the cabin, 3 people all had different expressions. Chun Yucheng propped his head on his hand, his eyes lost. He had maintained this position for a long time, occasionally muttering. Gong Sun Cha was extremely energetic, his eyes focused on war chess, completely ignorant of the piece of black day's crystal that was floating in the air with no one else present. Zuemo climbed up and down, his body covered in wood shavings, all kinds of tools and talismans occasionally on his hands. Lil Pagoda skipped behind him, not letting go of one piece go to waste, all sucked into the tower. Not far away, Silly Bird looked in disdain at Lil Pagoda. Lil Black silently waved its antennae as it climbed around. A long time later, when the formation in front of him had finished, Zuemo finally released a breath and stretched. Without any requirements, without any limitations, as long as he could think of it and he had enough materials, he would try it. This kind of experimentation that he had never had before made him feel unspeakably comfortable. He had done everything he could think of to modify the date seed ship. Some were forging methods, some were dan-making methods, some were formation-setting methods, including the formation discs that he hadn't used for a time. They were all put to use on the date seed ship. The date seed ship was completely transformed. The shuttle-shaped date seed ship became even sharper, especially the bow where 7 blue spikes were arranged in a row. These 7 blue spikes had been obtained from the 4th-grade blue-spiked crocodile that Zuemo had killed on the desolate wood reef. The blue jade-like spike was covered in cinnabar seals all over. The body of the ship was thinner and longer than before, like a swordfish. It made the ship look more dangerous and intrusive. The direct result was that its speed in the water suddenly increased. In 2 hours, it could travel 150 li, having increased by 50%. Zuemo added a control formation to the Ling shield outside. It was almost attached to the body of the ship now, like a skin rather than the round bubble it had been before. The lightning net seemed to be engraved on the Ling shield now rather than on its exterior. It was possible to see a thread of lightning occasionally swim by silently on the Ling shield. Zuemo had cut off anything like the masts. Those things were more for decoration than practicality. But even so, Zuemo was still not satisfied. He studied the water movement formation that the date seed ship had now, and found that this water movement formation was the reason the date seed ship was so slow in the water. Compared to flying in the air, the speed of travel in the water made him feel it was as slow as a turtle. For example, the thunder-flowing light wings that he had bought from Hongyang could reach 1,500 li in 2 hours at full speed. Even the 3rd-grade Lucky Cloud that did not pursue speed but was famed for its elegance could easily surpass a speed of 300 li every 2 hours. Having never possessed a water movement talisman before, Zuemo naturally could not be satisfied with the speed of the date seed ship. A 4th-grade date seed ship that couldn't even catch up to a 3rd-grade Lucky Cloud, wasn't that a joke? He completely forgot the resistance in the water was much stronger than flying in the air. When he realized this problem, it was when he had increased the speed of the date seed ship to 200 li every 2 hours, because he discovered that, no matter how he altered the water movement formation, he could not increase the speed of the date seed ship. He suddenly recalled a move that he had practiced before in the Li water sword scripture, flowing water. Other than being traceless and hard to discover, flowing water also was fast. It wasn't an extremely fast, but a comfortable and smooth, natural flow. He had practiced Li water sword scripture in the water before. In the water, flowing water was much faster. The crux of flowing water was to change with the water flow, like water flowing from high up down. If he could turn the date seed ship into the water drop sword, that would be good. This daring idea suddenly flashed through his head. This idea made him excited. After thinking for a long time, he finally found a solution. He had just finished it now. He used several hundred little formations to successfully model a situation similar to flowing water. The speed of the date seed ship was increased to 400 li every 2 hours. Zuemo did not know the market. If he knew the 4th-grade water movement talismans on the market were all around 100 li every 2 hours, that even the upper 4th-grade talismans were about 200 li every 2 hours, he certainly wouldn't have been stubborn to increase the speed of the date seed ship. Such terrifying speed was not without its limits. Due to the high number of formations, it was extremely difficult to control. Zhuemo found it very hard to control himself, and had to let Lil Pagoda take control of the formations. These formations mostly were related to water, and Lil Pagoda was the best hand at controlling the 5 elements. The other point was the consumption of Jingshi had multiplied, especially when they were traveling at full speed. It would use 10 Jing of Ling power every 2 hours, which was 10 pieces of 3rd-grade Jingshi, 10 times that of the thunder-flowing light wings. But in Zhuemo's perspective, this was worth it. If he couldn't keep his little life, then no matter how much Jingshi he had, it was useless. The present date siege ship finally reached the level of life-saving in his heart. But before he could rest, suddenly, a feeling of danger came into Zhuemo's mind. Zhuemo's heart beat heavily. He couldn't help but look outside. In the black water, a dot of light suddenly lit up far away. This dot of light was extremely small, like a hair, but in a blink, it was the size of a sesame seed. Such fast speed! Zhuemo inhaled sharply. He suddenly remembered the endless ocean that countless people talked about, which had no border, was the playground of strong Ling beasts. Run! Connected to his mind, Lil Pagoda instantly light up, the Jingshi of the 28 stars in the ceiling of the cabin lit up, the cabin so bright it seemed like day. Vroom vroom vroom. The ship slightly trembled. Under its maximum speed, the pressure that the ship was under was very terrifying. The sudden change alarmed the other two. Chun Yuqing raised his head in confusion, the excited blush on Gong Sun Cha's face had not retreated. Gong Sun Cha reacted first, the lightning speed of the date siege ship frightening him. So fast. When did the ship become this fast? He wasn't nervous, his face curious as he walked next to Zhuemo. It isn't the time to discuss this, Zhuemo said in a deep voice. Something has locked onto us. What? Gong Sun Cha's face was curious. However, when his gaze turned to the outside, his face suddenly changed. Not far away from the ship, a pair of vicious eyes about the size of a lantern stared at the date siege ship. When the two people looked at its body, the two couldn't help but inhale. An enormous shadow appeared in their vision. Black water that flowed relentlessly was like a mountain that was clearly separate from the surrounding river. The pair of indifferent and vicious eyes were as bright as moons in the black water. The three felt as though they had fell into a glacier, their entire body cold. Chapter 207 Moon Eye Blackwater Beast, what is that? Gong Sun Cha asked woodenly. Don't know, Zhuemo's answer was similarly wooden. The pitiable Chun Yuqing just fainted. This is a Moon Eye Blackwater Beast, Puyao drawled. Having just sadistically killed Gong Sun Cha for more than 20 rounds, he was in a pleasurable state, his attitude exceptionally harmonious. Moon Eye Blackwater Beast? They mostly live in the bottom of the endless ocean. They have large bodies, but they are all looks and no substance. They don't have anything good on their bodies. The only things are the moon beads and the blackwater. Pu Yao only glanced once, before becoming scornful. Moon bead. Blackwater. Zhuemo's heart leaped. He had never heard of the Moon Eye Blackwater Beast before, but he wasn't unfamiliar with the moon bead and blackwater. The uses of blackwater were very broad, it was not cheap, and moon beads were not just expensive, there were very few of them on the market, and were some of the best materials for forging. However, he didn't dare to have any greed now. The presence that this Moon Eye Blackwater Beast had was too intimidating. What grade is this guy? Any weaknesses? He asked. 4th grade. As to weaknesses, I don't know. Pu Yao added, I'm not familiar. The speed of the date siege ship was at maximum, yet that Moon Eye Blackwater Beast was easily keeping up. As expected of a natural water element beast. His date siege ship was not a match for this kind of water movement speed. He stopped the ship. In any case, he couldn't escape from the beast. What reassured his heart was this Moon Eye Blackwater Beast was a 4th grade Ling beast. What gave him a headache was that they were in the water. Suemo might have defeated a blue-spiked crocodile, but that was on land and not in the water. If they had been in the water, Suemo wouldn't have even been able to escape. Water element Ling beasts could use all of their offensive power in the water. One ship and one beast faced off. Suemo and the others didn't dare to move rashly. The Moon-Eye Blackwater beast seemed curious about this object that it had never seen before. Inside the ship, Suemo cast a spell on Gongsun Cha. "You're in command of them." After playing war chess, Suemo realized Gongsun Shidi's talent in this area. Since he really couldn't make anything of them, it was better to give them to Shidi. Gongsun Cha stilled, but he instantly took over the command of the 3 golden armor guards. In his consciousness, when the 3 golden armor guards appeared, a shocked expression uncontrollably floated onto his face. He had always assumed that the golden armor guards were living people. Now he discovered that these 3 mysterious experts were puppets. He quickly managed to calm down. Gradually, his breathing started to speed up. He felt his body was uncontrollably shaking. It was not fear nor terror, but excitement. This was his first fight where he was in command. Even though his subordinates were 3 golems, when he thought of the upcoming battle, he felt his body temperature rising, even his blood was burning. He suddenly closed his eyes, his rushed breathing slowly calming. When he opened his eyes again, he looked much calmer, but the light in the deepest part of his eyes was like a blade's edge. Suemo also threw away all other thoughts. Other than engaging in a fight, there didn't seem to be other options. The other side was a 4th-grade Ling beast in the water, but on his side were 4 Ningmai. Suemo felt there was a chance. What he was worried about was they would create too much noise, and attract other Ling beasts. That would not be good. Just as Suemo pondered when to attack, Gongsun Cha suddenly ran to Chen Yucheng who had fainted, and furiously shook him awake. Shixiang, where's your Ling butterfly? Ling butterfly, Chen Yucheng's face was confused. After a while, he managed to react, and hurriedly took out the beast service card. Ling butterfly. Gongsun Cha looked helplessly at the confusion and panic on Chen Yucheng's face and could only softly comfort him. Shixiang, don't panic, just summon your Ling butterfly. Oh. It might have been that Gongsun Cha's comfort was effective. Chen Yucheng calmed down slightly and summoned the Ling butterfly. The blue Ling butterfly appeared in front of him, nimbly fluttering its wings. Suemo was slightly surprised. Every time the blue butterfly flapped its wings, he could feel a rich stream of water element power. It seemed that the deep of the endless ocean was the place the water element blue butterfly could be most effective. But Suemo did not understand. Why did Gongsun Cha get Chen Yucheng to summon a blue butterfly? The blue butterfly was only a 3rd-grade Ling butterfly, definitely not a match for the big guy outside. Also, while the deep of the endless ocean had rich water element power, it really was not a habitat for butterflies. Shixiang, I remember your Ling butterfly has 2 water element spells. Which 2? Gongsun Cha asked rapidly. Water movement, and water power. Chen Yucheng reflexively responded. Suemo's eyes suddenly lit up. He understood what Gongsun Shidi wanted to do. Gongsun Cha did not waste time, pointing at the 3 golden armor guards and saying, Shixiang, get the Ling butterfly to use the spells on these 3. Oh. Chen Yucheng hurriedly commanded the blue butterfly. The blue butterfly lightly moved its wings, and 2 water blue spells hit one of the golden armor guards. After continuously casting 8 spells on the 3 golden armor guards plus Suemo, the blue butterfly appeared tired. The wings were moving slower than they had been before. When the 2 spells hit Suemo, he felt his Ling power become lively. The changes in the water flow outside the ship became much more clear, even though he didn't know what the effect would be. It was the correct decision to give Gongsun Shidi control of the golden armor guards. If it was him, he wouldn't have thought of Chen Shidi's Ling butterfly. With these 2 spells, the gap between the 2 sides had become a little bit smaller. Zuemo and Gongsun Cha looked at each other, and instantly understood what they wanted. Attack first. 3 blue lights suddenly charged at the moon-eye Blackwater beast. Once they attacked, Zuemo had no thoughts about luck. The 3 blue spikes moved first. 4th grade blue spikes, after being forged in golden crow fire, the body of the spikes were filled with characters. It was the strongest killing move of the date seed ship, but compared to the enormous body of the moon-eye Blackwater beast, the 3 blue spikes were not even toothpicks. The moon-eye Blackwater beast did not show any signs of dodging. The 3 blue spikes disappeared into the black and roiling black water. Boom! The black water, which had been slowly flowing, suddenly rippled ferociously like boiling water. The lantern-sized eyes brightened. Hiss! The 3 people on the ship felt an ear-piercing sound. Zuemo's attack had wounded it. The moon-eye Blackwater beast was enraged. Everyone felt the landscape darken. A wave of blackwater gathered towards the date seed ship from all directions, tying it up tightly. The strength of the black water was extremely high. The ship started to creak as the blackwater pressed against it. The blackwater tightly covered the Ling shield like a wall. 3 golden figures with a long red tail heavily struck the water wall outside. Ding ding ding. 3 muffled sounds that were like lightning. The 3 golden armor guards were forcibly bounced back. The seemingly soft-looking black water was as hard as steel. The full power blows of the 3 golden armor guards were not able to move the moon-eye Blackwater beast. Zuemo was shocked. He was very clear about how powerful the 3 golden armor guards were. Each golden armored guard's strength was above his. The attack of the 3 of them at full power was not able to harm the moon-eye Blackwater beast one bit. If it was said the 3 blue spikes made Zuemo joyful, then his heart stilled with this attack. So the restless blackwater around the moon-eye Blackwater beast was its strongest weapon. Blackwater was one of the most famous heavy waters in the world. With such a large amount of blackwater, it didn't need any other spells. It only needed to control them, and the power would be terrifying. Controlling blackwater. This was the area that the moon-eye Blackwater beast was truly strong in. Gongsun Cha also had a shocked expression. The 3 golden armor guards suddenly stopped and suddenly leapt outside again. Zuemo also managed to react. Throwing all thoughts to the back of his head, the 5 essence sword set he had already prepared was waiting to attack. Suddenly seeing the actions of the 3 golden armor guards, his own movements slowed. The 3 golden armor guards rushed outside. In the middle, the gloves on their hands lit up. 10,000 appearance gloves. The 3 golden figures were like 3 meteors, striking 3 times. Bam bam bam. The 3 blows were all at the same spot. Boom. Zuemo's consciousness clearly watched the water wall that the 3 golden armor guards attacked only slightly rippled, but behind the water shield, the blackwater body of moon-eye Blackwater beast suddenly shook, a portion of the blackwater almost flowing out of its body. Gongsun Cha's attack was too beautiful. Zuemo suppressed the impulse to roar, and took the opportunity to attack. He didn't use the 5 essence swords set on his hands, but went with the flow and activated the lightning net outside the Ling shield of the date seed ship. If this was earlier, lightning of this degree was nothing to the moon-eye Blackwater beast. But the clever attacks of the 3 golden armor guards caused the moon-eye Blackwater beast to lose control of the blackwater for a very short instant. The relatively weak lightning moved in at this time. Hiss hiss hiss. Countless little bits of lightning flooded the blackwater. The moon-eye Blackwater beast was in a slight panic. The blackwater that had been wrapped around the date seed ship furiously pressed inwards. Under the heavy pressure, half of the fine lightning was quickly destroyed. However, the state of the 2 sides switched. The devious Zuemo attacked it again, and 3 blue spikes soundlessly entered the blackwater. Arg! The moon-eye Blackwater beast gave a strange howl. Zuemo's eyes blurred, everything shaking. Turning his head over, blood flowed out of Gongsun Cha's nose and mouth, his face ferocious. The killing intent was so intense in his eyes that Zhuomo's heart shook. A red sword energy passed through the black water, aiming straight at the two lantern-sized eyes of the moon-eye blackwater beast. At the same time, another golden armor guard paced several steps and moved up. Bam! The blackwater wall shrunk back, blocking the red sword energy. Pew! The blackwater that hurried back was slightly weaker than usual, unable to block such a sharp sword energy. Another water wall. The sword energy, which had not expended its power, hit the surface, causing ripples and was blocked. Before the moon-eye blackwater beast could release a breath, the golden armored guard that had moved up smashed heavily into the wall. An expression of scorn appeared in the vicious eyes of the moon-eye blackwater beast. Smash! They couldn't smash through the water wall. Just as the golden armored guard was going to hit the wall, suddenly, 7 silver sword energies lit up by his side, the silver light flowing. Seven silver sword energies forcefully crashed on the water wall. The 7-star sword formation of the 7-star sword boots. The rippling water wall instantly collapsed, the 7 silver sword energies pointing straight at the eyes of the moon-eye blackwater beast. For the first time, the moon-eye blackwater beast had an expression of fear. At this time, it could do nothing except push all the blackwater in front of it. It needed to stop the 7 silver sword energies. It was so panicked that it did not notice that, at some unknown time, a golden figure had sneaked behind it. Face covered in blood, Gongsun Cha seemed insane, the corners of his mouth coldly rising, his eyes black as they were reflected in the blackwater, a dash of red flashing past. Chapter 208 Blood Void Movement. Suemo looked at the soft and shy Gongsun Shidi, who was half collapsed on the deck, face pale, and found it hard to think of him as the battle-crazed guy just now. As he took out medicine for Gongsun Cha, he thought, this guy is really an extreme militant. Even now, he felt it was slightly unreal. The entire battle was clean and crisp, without any big tribulations, it was done. Zhuomo didn't even get to use his 5 essence sword set and the moon-eye blackwater beast was killed. He had felt the effectiveness of the golden armor guards would not be as great with him as they were on Gongsun Shidi's hands. But the difference was a bit too big. On land, 1 golden armor guard was enough to deal with a moon-eye blackwater beast, but in the water, for 3 golden armor guards to kill a moon-eye blackwater beast, that needed luck. He hadn't thought that Gongsun Shidi was so strong. Pity about the pair of moon beads. Zhuomo's heart hurt. The last ambush by the golden armor guard had sliced the eyes of the moon-eye blackwater beasts in half. What landed in his hands were 4 half-sphere moon beads. Their value had greatly decreased. He had taken a lot of blackwater. The blackwater was not as valuable as moon beads, but it was still a rarity. Even more, it was worth it just to discover Gongsun Shidi's terrifying talent at battle. In troubled times, what was most important was strength. As Gongsun Shidi's talents were continuously uncovered, their strength was increasing. Zhuomo was already considering if it was possible for Pu Yao to make a few more golden armor guards. However, Gongsun Shidi's strength was a bit lacking. The shout from the moon-eye blackwater beast had almost taken his little life. In Zhuomo's view, the direction that Gongsun Shidi should develop in was as a battle general, being skilled at commanding in battle, and not pursuing individual power. But his individual power was too weak, even weaker than Chen Yucheng. If he was the least bit careless, he could lose his life. Having seen the Yao army, Zhuomo naturally realized that people like Gongsun Shidi were actually very strong. These days, hiring a sword xiu of some strength wasn't hard, that just needed Jingshi. But hiring a xiuzhe who would command, that was not simple. Even more, Gongsun Shidi was the closest of all, they had gone through tribulations together and was very reliable. How could he get Gongsun Shidi to command in battle but not lose his little life? Talisman. Even the best talisman would be scrap metal in Gongsun Shidi's hands. He basically could not use them to their full potential. Practice some life-saving spell. At this time, would it be too late? Gongsun Shidi might have talent at commanding, but his talent at cultivation seemed very average. Zhuemo ran into trouble. Suddenly he hit his head. How could he forget Pu Yao? This 1,000-year-old antique should know at least something. You want to turn him into a battle general? Pu Yao's eyes as he looked at Zhuemo were slightly shocked. Such a perceptive matter, was it something that this greedy zombie face could think of? Didn't this guy only ever pursue money? I feel he has great talent in the area. Zhuemo asked in response, don't you think so? His talent is barely acceptable. Pu Yao did not refute it. But what do you want a battle general for? Do you want to start conquering land? Zhuemo looked at Pu Yao like he was looking at an idiot. Did he get his head knocked? Just these few people, they couldn't even get protection money, let alone conquering land. However, thinking that he had something to ask of the other, Zhuemo decided it was better not to say such hurtful words. He said, one good man, 3-person sect. Gang fighting has more technique involved than fighting by oneself. Anyways, I feel that this road has a brighter future for him than a butcher. For some unknown reason, Pu Yao released a breath. See, he said so. This brat couldn't have such far-seeing eyes. This is so good, why does it have to be hidden? Zhuemo was not very happy. You bumpkin. Pu Yao scornfully twisted his mouth. Each time he scolded like this, he felt great. Also, he found that as long as Zhuemo had something to request of him, Zhuemo wouldn't be angry if he swore at him. He saw the displeasure in Zhuemo's eyes become even heavier, but the other forcefully suppressed it. Pu Yao was very smug. Oh, this feeling isn't bad. Let me first teach you a lesson. With Xiuzhe, those that are purely commanders are battle generals. Yaoma do not have pure things. Pu Yao's voice was full of scorn. For Yaoma, they have to fight as soon as they are born. Commanding in battle is a technique any high-level Yaoma must learn. Of course, not every Yaoma can become a strong commander, but the rate of their occurrence is much higher than your battle generals. Do you know what is most important for a commander? Pu Yao asked. I don't know, Zhuemo shook his head in confusion. He had never heard before what Pu Yao was saying now. Giving commands. Pu Yao gave a very normal answer. Oh, Zhuemo seemed to have understood slightly. On the battlefield, the situation would change constantly, and is very complex. How can the people in command let their orders reach their subordinates? As he kept on going, Pu Yao became serious. Xiuzhe use seals, they first forge seals beforehand to give them to the Xiuzhe they command, and pass orders through the seals. Mo use the Mo matrix. They can mutually feel each other through the Mo matrix. As to Yao, I shouldn't have to say anything. Consciousness? Yes. Pu Yao nodded. What Yao primarily cultivate is the consciousness, and are born naturally powerful in this area. You should first consider this problem. As to protecting his life, Pu Yao tilted his head to think, battle generals usually would have the protection of experts, and they would hide in the troops so they cannot easily be discovered. Zhuemo had an impulse to spit blood. After speaking for so long, it was basically equivalent to saying nothing. Having the protection of experts, where could he get experts to protect? There was only these few people, where would he hide? We are on one ship now. Zhuemo's eyes were not friendly as he smirked, I wonder if Sky Yao are nutritious and suited to a Ling beast's appetite. Pu Yao naturally would not be scared by this degree of threat, and laughed loudly in response. Seeing that Zhuemo showed signs of rage, Pu Yao finally stopped his carefree laugh. If you are talking about saving his life, it's not that there are not ways. Pu Yao snickered, like the Mo matrix. Look at how convenient it is. Carving it on once, benefits for a lifetime. He doesn't need to cultivate at all. The Mo matrix would automatically temper his body. In the future, he would be a juggernaut that cannot be killed. Zhuemo smirked. Boast. continue boasting. Got tricked by you last time, got this emo matrix carved, how come GE didn't become a juggernaut? It's not possible to become a juggernaut in one day. Pu Yao smiled. Or a Yao seed. Cultivating the consciousness, that's the best pairing for a battle general. The consciousness isn't bad, but it isn't useful in protecting his life. Also, if he starts practicing, it would take a long time. Zhuo Mo shook his head. Also, in the future, he might not be in command of a Yao army. Didn't you also say that Xiuzhe used seals? You see, you refuse the two areas I'm most skilled in. Pu Yao waved his hand, his expression similar to saying, see, it's not that I'm not helping you. You just knew that you weren't reliable. Zhuo Mo hatefully said. Humph, fine. He can't become a battle general, no one can play war chess with you. Pu Yao froze. Zhuo Mo was secretly overjoyed. As expected, he hadn't guessed wrong. Seeing Pu Yao sadistically kill Gong Sun Cha for 20-something rounds, Zhuo Mo was very shocked. He had never seen Pu Yao be interested in a matter like he was in this. Pu Yao had taken out a huge variety of war chess games. Zhuo Mo had knew then that this guy had definitely been obsessed with this path. Especially when he saw Pu Yao's smug expression after he had sadistically killed Gong Sun Cha 20-something rounds. He knew that this guy had found a new amusement, so he tried this approach. Pu Yao was depressed. It wasn't that he was unclear as to Zhuo Mo's little calculations, but just as Zhuo Mo expected, it had been long and difficult before he had found someone who could play with him. If he lost a person to play with due to this, it was a loss. To a Sky Yao that had no goal or ambition, amusement was very important. He said slightly helplessly, oh, I remember, there is a very obscure life-saving method. What? Zhuo Mo hurriedly asked. Blood void movement. What spell is that? It's not a spell, it's a talisman. Oh. Multiple hours later, Zhuo Mo looked at the 3 necklaces in front of him with a satisfied expression. There were 2 jade tablets on each necklace, each tablet carved with complex and old characters. Zhuo Mo's craftsmanship was much better now, and the characters he carved were more smooth and fine. Deviously laughing, he ran next to Gong Sun Cha whose face was pale. Shixiang, what is it? Gong Sun Cha became wary. Shixiang's expression was troubling. Nothing big. Zhuo Mo nickered. He pulled Gong Sun Cha's hand, rubbed it a few times. Okay. Gong Sun Cha stilled. He suddenly saw that his little hand was dripping blood. Below his fingers, there was a jade bottle that was already half filled with blood. Gong Sun Cha's pale face suddenly became white as paper, his eyes rolling as he fainted. Chen Yuqing propped up his chin, looking in the distance, his gaze wandering as he muttered to himself. This formation should belong to the wind element power. Does wind element power affect the reproduction rate of Ling butterflies? He was completely ignorant that someone was beside him, and did not detect that the other hand which he had on his leg was dripping blood. After half a bottle, he still had not detected it. An hour later. When did my hand get wounded? Oh, where did I think up to? Zhuo Mo took out 3 bottles of blood, one of them his own. He had split the blood of the 2 bottles in half, each portion put into one of the jade tablets. On the warm jade tablet, the bright red characters were exceptionally grand. No one would think of blood. It did not look any different than normal cinnabar. The 3 necklaces with the jade tablets were the weapon to save lives, blood void movement. 3 people, 1 person apiece. When any one of them experienced a life-saving threat, they would automatically move beside their fellow, as long as their fellow was also wearing the blood void movement necklace as well. He had originally planned on finding a life-saving method for Gong Sun Cha who had the lowest cultivation, but hadn't thought that he would get such a big benefit out of it. Zhuo Mo mixed the 3 people's blood void movement together. This way, no matter which one of the 3 of them encountered danger, they would move to one of the other 2. Having handled a large worry, Zhuo Mo's mood was great and he woke Gong Sun Cha up. Come, let's play the war chess. The confused Gongsun Cha did not know that he had been sold by Shixiang to a Pu Yao who was sharpening his blades. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.